Hi, welcome back to Half a Clue, where we talk about movies and give our terrible opinions of them. I'm Blake.
I'm Ron.
I'm Philip.
And I'm Jason.
Today we're talking about Zack motherfucking Snyder, so I hope everyone else is excited.
Woo! Zacky boy.
Daddy Zack.
Mr. Snide man.
Oh my gosh, so hot.
He is good looking. Ron was saying that Taylor Sheridan's good looking, but that's like only the first picture on IMDb. If you
Taylor
scroll-
Sheridan is good looking.
Taylor Sheridan
He,
isn't
he,
that
he
good
was an
looking.
actor.
He's
Look at
not
his
that
jawbone.
good looking.
He's
though.
pretty
Zack
good.
He's
Snyder's
pretty.
good looking, dude.
He's a good
No,
looking
Zack
guy,
Snyder.
too.
Zack Snyder is good. Like I would pork that guy constantly.
Dude,
but,
Zack
like,
Snyder is a good looking guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
He
Yeah.
could have played Thor.
He's fine.
I
I
mean, you're
mean,
not to play Thor.
He's got the gruff look. He just had to get a little ripped.
He
for
needs
it.
he needs
he
a
could've
Michael
been-
Bay to get.
No, I
roided
mean,
up,
I think
you
he
know?
could play like the bro version of like Ant-Man or whatever. Like his
yeah, he could have been the Flash. Like he's
Yeah.
kind of scrawny.
Zack Snyder is not scrawny.
He's a little built.
No,
you know?
he's
not
like super into working out and stuff. You know,
Is he? I don't.
He built a gym.
He's bigger than
for every
Henry
one of his
Cavill.
sets.
Yeah, he always has gyms on his sets. I wonder if that must have started around
With
300,
300,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, because like
Because Dawn and Dead, you know, you got
Everyone had to be in.
yeah,
it.
you're flexing like 5 seconds before they start rolling.
yeah.
Those are fake muscles. They're painted on 300.
He does have a thing about the male body, though.
Yeah, well, not just
Watching
that.
his movies recently.
yeah. Not even just male body, just like the body in general.
Henry
Yeah.
Cavill is like distractingly large in like the movies. He's so
Yeah.
ripped.
He's
Like,
Superman.
Have you seen him
I-
build,
I know,
build a
but
PC? Oh my gosh!
Wait,
like
what?
you've seen him build a PC. Like his arm was bigger than the PC itself. And he was like going like this. He was covering like the entire frame, like you have a PC.
I'm gonna play The Witcher.
No, he wasn't. He had to go play The
Yeah.
Witcher after.
it's not a joke though. He's so ripped it's distracting. Like when he's like wearing clothes, it's just, like he looks ridiculous because he's just so big.
It's like, why are you wearing a shirt, dude? You might as well
Just take it off, bro. Come on. I know
Yeah.
you're at the Daily Planet, but it's fine. Give the fans what they want.
All right, so what have you guys been watching lately?
A lot of Shaolin Showdown.
I miss Shaolin Showdown. That show was like a classic.
Top tier children's TV show. Also, which I don't know which one came first, that or Jackie Chan Adventures, but it's basically like the same thing.
I believe it was Jackie Chan Adventures.
Shaolin Showdown did it
Yeah,
better,
they're-
of course.
Around the same time, they're both CW, yes, no, or not CW,
The, like-
Channel 5, W Warner.
Yeah,
Brothers.
Warner Brothers stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, both had like the basic idea of just like a bunch of kids going around the world finding shit. Well, I guess it was Jackie
well, actually,
Chan.
Jackie Chan was just like his one
Yeah.
little annoying little niece.
He has a niece that follows him
Yeah.
around.
Jade? Jade was awesome.
Jade, yeah, no, she was cool. I mean, she did get annoying sometimes when it was like, Jesus, just stay in one place, you know?
Yeah.
There's like an episode where she turns into a frog.
Jackie.
Yeah. She turns into a frog in an episode, remember?
Or her. I think
I don't know.
there's also
What was
one
that?
where the grandpa becomes God.
Did that happen?
Yeah. Don't you remember there was like one of the final episodes where Jackie was fighting against one of the big villains, and then the niece was like, "There's this book where whatever you write comes true."
Oh,
and then the grandpa was like, "Why don't you write that? I basically could do anything." And then he was like, "Oh," and I'm so, and by the way, I'm Asian, so I could do the Asian accent. and he writes like, "Oh yeah, grandpa's basically God," and then he becomes God, and he like ends like the conflict in one.
I
go.
actually don't remember that at all.
That's hilarious. I do remember that like central conflict though, when it was like basically the different demons of different elements, like a dragon demon, or not the dragon, the different demons like just took over the whole world because they wrote into the book just like, and we rule over the whole world, and then that was just it. And for some reason, Jade was immune to it. I don't know why. Yeah, it's a great show.
Which one, Shaolin Showdown or Jackie Chan Adventures?
I like them
Both.
both. Yeah, I like the
I,
CW.
Shaolin Showdown's
Never
better.
watched it either.
I really like. You didn't watch. You didn't have a
Yeah,
childhood.
I
don't
guess
know.
not, dude.
Shaolin Showdown.
You were watching like R-rated movies at 2.
Yeah, basically. I don't know. I watched like X-Files when I was a kid, like with my dad.
I've never watched it, but I like David Duchovny, so maybe it's worth a watch for him.
My first TV show was
Yeah,
The
it's good.
Sopranos. Yeah, that was
your first TV
that was
show?
my first TV show. Yeah,
How old?
because my like whenever I don't know, that was like the first thing I remember. I think I was like 3 or 4. I don't know. That was like because my I think my uncle had to babysit me, but Sopranos was on at the same time.
Mhm.
But he didn't want to like censor it, so we just watch. Yeah, it was cool.
That is pretty dope.
I think like the first, like, you know, TV shows that I was watching regularly was definitely The Simpsons. And then
Oh my god.
yeah, I know, but as I got older, I think the first show that I remember being like actively invested in was probably somewhere between Supernatural and Lost.
I think for me it's Heroes.
Oh, I
For
love
me,
Heroes.
like I really got into Malcolm in the Middle. That was my
Oh,
shit
yeah.
for a long time.
That was great. Yeah, poor Frankie Muniz, man. That guy is just like his whole memory's gone. Like that's just terrible. I can't imagine that.
He had a stroke at like what 24 or something.
Yeah.
Completely forgot his.
They say it might be because of like the multiple concussions he had. Because he also had like a racing career. I don't know.
Oh
He's
yeah.
also in like a rock band or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
And
Good for him.
He was in Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got
Cody
plenty of
Banks,
money
bro.
at this point that, like, you know, he should be fine for the rest of his life. That's good.
You guys
But-
remember Agent Cody Banks?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate to absolutely derail this into insanity, but do you guys remember that terrible like ripoff of Agent Cody Banks, and it had like Ewan McGregor in it?
No.
No.
What was it called?
Ah, dude, I have no idea. But it's like a total ripoff. You know, it's like the same concept, like like preteen, like super spy, and like the plot is that his uncle is Ewan McGregor, who's like a secret spy,
Mhm.
but he ends up getting murdered, so he goes hunting like the people that did it, and he gets in like a spy adventure. The only thing I really remember about it is Ewan McGregor's in it, and that someone gets killed by an octopus at one point. Like the
Hello
villain
there.
has like an octopus below his chair that he like drops,
Yeah.
people into.
Come here, my little friend.
That's Alec Guinness.
Yeah, I know. It's still Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah. He'll probably say it in the series, right?
I mean,
If he doesn't say it in the new Disney Plus series, I will go on a riot. And I will personally go to Disney headquarters. And this is not real, so please don't sue me for anything. So I know you're a Disney.
I'm actually pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan? Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm optimistic about it.
Entirely directed by, not to get too into it, but entirely directed by Deborah Chow, the girl who made the third episode of the first season, the one where all the Mandalorians show up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then-
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Mandalorian sucks.
Stormbreaker.
Mandalorian is
You
great.
talking about Stormbreaker?
What's Stormbreaker? Oh,
Alex-
maybe. Is Ewan McGregor
Alex
in it?
Rider.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that film. Okay, no, that makes sense.
I read those books when I was like 12.
Mhm.
I read one of them and it sucked. So
All right,
Okay.
let's get back to Snyder.
All right. So Zack Snyder is the central focus of this week's podcast. He is what's it called? A wonderful director. Generally, now we know him for his DC films. His background is his mother was a painter and a photography arts teacher, and on top of that, his dad was like an executive recruiter. And coming from a more artistic background, he went to school initially for painting, which kind of makes a lot of sense.
That does.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Very visually focused.
God, they just be so dark.
And then
God,
He
It's
only
black.
works with grays.
yeah.
Yeah, he did charcoal paintings. So.
Yeah. and then after that he he had a whole career with music videos, then went to commercials and advertisements, and one of the big things was known for that kind of got him on the map was the commercial he made for the Jeep company. And they were like, and like you have Michael Jordan and like Harrison Ford go like, oh yeah, the Zack Snyder, look at him. I don't know who was impersonating.
I call that a combination
of
of
Michael
that was
Jordan and
Zack-
Harrison Ford.
Was Harrison Ford right after he crawled out of the plane that he crashed?
Yeah, I know.
That's
Just
Zack
reading-
Snyder.
Snyder.
Yeah, we actually have.
I don't know what a fucking Force Ghost is, and I don't care.
Ron and I actually have a client who actually like knows Harrison Ford and like talks to him. Remember?
That's
Yeah, and he's they say he's he's kind of an asshole. Like yeah, makes
He's
sense.
what?
He's fine.
No way.
He's like he's
Yeah.
98 years old.
Yeah, he's just
He's a
like
grumpy old man.
Exemplifies
He's
the
fine.
grumpy old dude.
Yeah. But then yeah, and that's what happened. And then after that, he was kind of in negotiation on what his first film was, and he was offered one of the big films he was offered was SWAT.
Ooh.
But then they were like, we want PG-13, but we want you, to make it as PG-13 as possible. It's like, nah, I want like titties and blood and stuff like that.
So he made Dawn of the Dead.
Exactly. So the Dawn of the Dead remake, and you can have as much titties and bloods as possible. It's like, oh boy, poo, yeah, baby, and yeah,
They
and he
did
made
Dawn
Dawn
of
of
the
the Dead. Yeah.
I mean, in that one, in the opening sequence, there's literally a naked woman just walking through the streets for no reason. Like, it's the middle of the street. Like, I get it's like chaos and stuff happening, but why is she just completely naked?
She gave up. She gave up.
On a
Because
highway?
Zack Snyder directed it.
So, what are your favorite films of Zack Snyder? Just say out of curiosity.
I wouldn't say there's a favorite film by Zack Snyder.
Okay, least hated.
I
Zack
have a
Snyder
few.
film.
I like Zack Snyder. I go to bat for him, every once in a while. I'm not a fan of all of his films, but like, I don't know. Watchmen has always been like probably the most standout film that he's done, especially the director's cut. I've not seen the ultimate cut, but I do want to watch that one.
It's pretty much the same thing. The only thing they add is the animated Tale of Black Freighter. They jerry rigged it into the thing.
Dude, it's so long though. It's like
It's like
3.5
as long
hours.
as Justice League.
I mean,
it's
we'll
technically
definitely
shorter than Justice
Well,
League.
we'll definitely
Jesus.
get into that. How much
Yeah.
he really just
Likes it.
pulls these movies apart just as long as possible. He just extends them.
I do want to say one thing about Zack Snyder before we really get started. I think he seems like a real cool guy. He seems super nice. Like every interview I've seen in him, he seems like a real genuine cool guy. But fuck, man, most of his movies just don't work for me like at all.
I definitely respect him.
Yeah, I respect his vision. He's got like
he has a vision, and he will fight tooth and nail to have that like go on screen.
Here's what I'll say.
Not a lot of people do that.
Here's what I'll say.
He doesn't seem like he sells out, which I
totally
Here's what I'll say. I think this is super important for like it's like a praise and a criticism. I think he's really good at creating an aesthetic. He's like, and you know, because all of his movies post 300 have this like aesthetic to them. I think he's incredibly good at achieving that. But sometimes it just doesn't fit the movie. It feels weird that this aesthetic is like what's over like this certain story. When it works, it works. But like in Watchmen is a good example. You asked me what my favorite Zack Snyder movie is. It's probably Watchmen, although I haven't rewatched it in a while, so I'm not sure if it would hold up as much.
Right.
But that's like a great example where his aesthetic works perfectly for Watchmen, because you're in like this gloomy, depressive, like miserable version of reality.
It fits the tone of the story.
But then in Batman v Superman, it does not work.
Yeah, I think that's crucial for Snyder. Like we'll get into it more later. But I think when he's adapting people's work, especially when the work fits his style,
that's probably the best.
Yeah, like that's when he really goes on to those next levels. Because I'd say like probably my second favorite, somewhere between like 300 and Dawn of the Dead. Like both of those again fit his aesthetic perfectly. Like,
yeah. What about you, Jason? What's your favorite Zack Snyder film?
It's definitely Dawn of the Dead. That was the first movie I saw from him. And it just works in a way that most of his movies don't at this point. Like it's tight, it's concise, it gets from point A to point B very well. There's very little meandering. Like it just works as a movie, and I really respect it. Also, it was the first like R-rated movie I owned on DVD, so that probably plays into it. Like I watched the shit out of that DVD. It was so much fun.
I think the fact that James Gunn wrote it probably helps a lot.
Oh, definitely.
Like that's where you get like the strength of James Gunn, where he's a great writer, and you can see like that. It's definitely, I'd say that's probably his best written film, and for good reason, because it was written by James Gunn, right? Like you see, like it's funny, all the characters are likable or hateable, but at least still like interesting.
And in many ways, it was James Gunn's like introduction into Hollywood. I know he did some other things, but he'd never gone like dark and violent the way we know him now. Like at that point, people apparently, I read this, people were pissed off that he was writing the film because they're like, oh, he directed that like sappy, or he wrote that sappy fucking movie or whatever.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was both of their coming out parties, and I think it would have been very interesting to see them come together like now, seeing how both of them have evolved.
It'd be weird.
Well, we'll get into this when we get into like Army of the Dead, but initially they approached what's his face, James Gunn, to actually write that movie, and Snyder would have directed it, and I would have loved to see how that would have turned out.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll get into Army of the Dead. Later.
We'll get into Army of the Dead.
I actually, what's it called? Never. I'll get into that later.
What about you, Philip? What's your favorite?
For me, I think. Oh, okay. This is a little nostalgia lens, but then I obviously all the films are cool, and I just recently rewatched Guardians of Go Fool. I say Guardians of Go Fool is definitely, I think, one of his most unique films that I watched. Not
super underrated.
Yeah.
I think.
It's just like, really cool visual design, the lore, and especially like the animation, like, the feathers, the fucking, when he's like the gizzards, for anyone who's seen the film, and he gets into the slow-mo action where he goes through snow. That was cool. But I guess like if the first film I remember seeing titties on screen is of course the one that probably speaks to the most is 300. Yeah, and that one I just watched, and I was like, at first I thought, oh, is this gonna be like Alexander or whatever, like just and don't get me wrong, I have a soft spot for that film, but when I saw that and I saw like the super saturated colors, and I saw this big buff Gerald Butler legs kick like a Persian guy into a black hole, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my man, this is my soulmate.
It was like the only thing I had ever seen before that was similar to that or like comparable was probably Sin City, but it was still very different, very distinct, and it really blew my mind. I was like, whoa, this movie's like, what a trip. And like preteen me was like all over 300. I was like, this shit's awesome, like buff dudes like hacking people or whatever.
Dude. I wrote an essay on Leonidas when that movie came out.
I wrote an essay on Watchmen in high school. I got an A on it.
But going back to the Guardians, I watched Guardians for the first time. That was the only Snyder movie I hadn't seen, and I was really surprised at how much I liked that movie. Like visually, it's like I think up there with like I don't know top 2, top 3 of his like best visual films. Like the animation gave him like free range to do literally anything, and like half of the movie is in golden hour. It's either the sun is coming down or it's coming up. And it's all shot like near like a seascape. There's like misty mountains, and the action sequences are really cool and interesting because it's like owls fighting each other, which doesn't sound like the most interesting thing, but like when you see them with like their little helmets and their like claws. It's pretty cool. And I think also super well casted. The entire voice cast was fantastic. All Australian actors. I had no idea that it was gonna be all Australians for some reason, just a bunch of Aussies. But yeah, really strong.
Was Hugh Jackman in it?
He was supposed to be, but apparently he didn't for some reason. He pulled out. But Hugo Weaving's in it.
Okay.
Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah, Steve Steve Neal, I think, or Sam Neill. Yeah, like all like the really big name actors, except for Hugh Jackman and Kate Blanchett. Like I don't know why they were the only ones missing. Joel Edgerton's in it.
Yeah,
awesome. He plays the villain, and he's awesome.
Jeffrey Rush is in it.
Jeffrey Rush is in it. He's
you best
great.
start believing in Zack Snyder movies. Yeah. You're in one.
Yeah, no, Jeff Rush was like one of the best parts.
Jeffrey Rush is like the best part of everything he's in.
Oh yeah, he's
great.
not
in enough things.
No, yeah, he needs to be in more things.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, he's
he needs to stop doing pirate movies.
I'm really proud of him. I'm really proud of
the
the
last
part.
Did he?
Yeah.
I watched that one.
He
for
died.
him.
He was like, and then the way he died, he's like, oh my gosh, this hot chick is my daughter? How? Came out of me? Okay, gotta sacrifice myself. Bye-bye. And then that's how he dies. No joke. That's
Wait, who's his daughter?
It's this, have you guys seen Crawl?
It's not
the alligator film?
No, that's Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie of last year, by the way.
Yeah, it was like, she's the main chick from Crawl, and she's this hot British chick. Okay. And then like somehow I guess he must have, because they look nothing alike. He impregnated somebody and out came her, and he was like,
I have a really random thing to add. It's kind of irrelevant, but like, when are we ever going to talk about Zack Snyder again? Is that okay?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Okay, so when I was a kid, I wrote a terrible screenplay. Jason, you've read it. Hunter, a crime fighter.
Oh yeah,
it's Ron's read it too. Philip one day.
Yeah, we did a table read.
I was there.
You were there?
I was on the entire thing.
We did the table read.
You were there?
It was good, poopy caca. I liked it.
So I wrote a screenplay when I was in 7th grade. And it's
Aaron Dan.
I wrote a screenplay when I was in 7th grade, and it was like the worst thing like ever written, maybe.
We should do a table read.
We'll do it. We'll do a table read.
Oh, dude, that'd be so much fun.
We'll do a table read. But anyways, I remember I was in like
subscribe for more.
I was in like a filmmaking class, and I had just seen Watchmen for the first time like that year, and I went up to my I guess not professor, my teacher, and I was just like, hey, do you think there's a way I could get this to Zack Snyder? Like, I actually thought in my 7th grade head that if I sent this to Zack Snyder, he'd like make it. Okay, and I remember not just that. I remember also saying, do you think he'd let me like be the co-director on this? Because I don't want him. Because I was worried that he might actually fuck up a little bit.
Oh yeah, I
know
he wouldn't do well. You know, again, going back to Zack Snyder's strengths, he does adapt things very well. He knows what to really take out from certain stories beforehand. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, he would actually probably read it. I'm not even joking, because he's like...
He seems like such a nice guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, because there was
He'd be like, how old is this guy?
Yeah, there was these a group of African kids that remade the Army of the Dead trailer, but shot for shot, but with cardboard and little things. And he watched it, and he was giving them he gave them virtual high fives and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a real nice guy. That's really cool. Yeah, he's a real nice guy.
Really cool.
Yeah. All right, so one of the biggest things about Zack Snyder is his obviously his visuals, right?
Yeah.
So generally, one of his visual trademarks is slow motion, super saturated colors and stuff like that, and Larry Fong.
Or I'd say it's a little desaturated. It's saturated, but then mostly on gray tones and stuff and blues. It's a very distinct look that it's not replicated well, but when it lands, it lands.
It doesn't land,
I don't even think he replicates it as well all the time. Especially when it's without Larry Fong, which is usually his go-to cinematographer.
What movies has he not used Larry Fong?
He hasn't used him for Justice League, the newest one. He hasn't used him for...
Really?
I don't think Dawn of the Dead. He used him... So sense. Larry Fong, he's been using him for 300, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, and... Oh gosh. And Batman v Superman.
Okay.
And even though I'm not crazy about the film, I think amongst his 3 films, that one probably like for me looked like the best.
Which
you know,
one?
in
It
terms
does
of-
look good.
Yeah,
Which one?
Batman v Superman.
It looks good, but it's like goes with what I
Yeah.
was saying that the aesthetic just feels so off. Like
But-
that shot of
Oh,
like
yeah.
Superman holding the rocket in this like miserable like dark world.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I
Yeah.
think that's because
It
of the,
looks good though. Yeah,
I think because of the expression. But then, like, if you compare like the colors of Superman's suit compared to Man of Steel, like Man of Steel was like you couldn't even tell the red. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It was just like
Yeah.
it was dark blue. Like it looked like Blue's Clues but depressed.
Everything
And then
just muted.
yeah, but then in Batman v Superman, the reds were more popping. His eyes when it was glowing, like it was just like really bright red. And then,
they changed the suit in between. I know that they
Yeah.
like brightened it up
yeah.
because
Thank
it
God.
was like bad in Man of
I mean,
Steel.
I think okay, so going into like Man of Steel, which I defended a lot when it first came out because I was like, all right, it's a different interpretation of like Superman, which I'm cool with. I think it like he's a really tough character to like introduce to modern audiences. I think modern audiences tend to be more cynical, and it's hard to have a character like Superman. But then I think Marvel did like a good example of doing someone like Captain America, who is this optimistic guy. He's a symbol of hope, and that's what Superman is supposed to be. But like in this one, they did a lot of just really weighing him down with philosophical questions and really big ideas, which I think is fine. But you just have to give him that time to really like show who he is, show what Superman, how he impacts the world. And then you ask those questions of like, okay, well, should he still be around or not?
I just think Zack Snyder is the wrong person to make a Superman movie.
I agree.
Honestly, yeah, because like I think like we kind of talked about this pre podcast was just like he has this whole he loves Ayn Rand. He loves like this objective philosophy, and then he injects that in every single film.
Yeah.
And Man of Steel, like you literally have a character, like Mr. Kent, who's just like, should you have saved those kids from the buses? Yeah, just watch them
He
drown
literally-
slowly, like
yeah.
He literally asked his dad, "What? I was supposed to let him die?" And he's like, "Maybe."
Yeah,
Like-
your
know,
self-interest is more important than saving lives.
He lets himself die by tornado.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's one of my biggest issues with Man of Steel. Is like in the comics, like Jonathan Kent dies of a heart attack, and in Man of Steel, he dies of a tornado. And both of them, I think, are trying to challenge big parts of like Superman's character, right? Like him dying and letting his father die of a tornado. It's like, oh, to protect your secret, maybe like the world's not ready for you yet. And then I think that like guilt like lingers over him, right? It's a big deal. But I think in the comics, the heart attack works so much better because it's something that's completely out of Superman's control.
exactly.
Yeah.
It works thematically better.
Yeah, it works so much better with this character where it's like Superman is capable of anything. He could have saved his father beforehand, right? In the tornado. He could save anyone from almost any situation. But a heart attack,
You can't save that.
He can't. He's just as useless and powerless as any other person. And that
I
just
hate that scene.
does a lot. That just says so much.
Yeah.
Of this
I hate
guy.
that scene. Kevin Costner just has this look on his face like, "Let me die, motherfucker."
But then the
Yeah,
thing is,
and-
Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna die.
yeah, but
It's
Superman
like,
can
what?
move like almost at the speed of light, not quite. Yeah, so couldn't he have just like, and then no one would notice? Like,
Yeah, everyone would think his dad was the superhero because he would like teleport there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Or just like honestly, you could have just ran him off someplace random, like somewhere like a mile away from where the tornado was.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if this is the time to say it, but since you brought up secret identity, in this version, I cannot buy that people just don't know Clark Kent is Superman. I
Yeah.
can't buy it. I'm sorry.
What's go-
Like
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
in the comics, like, oh, he puts on glasses. That's not
Oh,
Superman.
I got a
Not
problem
in
with
this
that.
it's
too.
cartoony. It's
Well, at least in Smallville, they had the thing called the blur. Like he would like shake his face and stuff.
Yeah.
but they didn't really do that here.
in this, I can't accept
What?
it.
Wait, but-
Hey,
okay,
he goes
I'm
to a
sorry, that's really
courtroom.
funny to me.
Yeah.
He
Just
goes-
Superman walking around like just fucking like sneezing.
You're doing it great. Well,
Just
from
shaking his face.
what's it called? I think it's called. It is cartoony, but I guess like the idea. Well, I mean,
I
at least,
can't buy it
at
in
least
this
Lois
version of
Lane.
Superman.
At least Lois Lane knows, right? She immediately
Yeah.
recognized
Yeah.
this guy's super handsome. Like I'm never gonna forget
Yeah,
that. handsome
Henry
face.
Cavill walks up to me. I'm gonna be like, "Oh, that's Henry Cavill."
Oh yeah, Henry Cavill, wow.
I think that's like I'm fine with like Lois knowing his identity because you could argue like, oh, she's one of the few people who's been up and close and personal with like
Yeah.
Clark and Superman. So okay, she's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. I'd like just think it stretches like I don't like later. I mean, when we get to like BVS and shit, when everybody just knows that Clark is Superman. Like Luther just knows.
Well, I mean, that actually,
Batman knows.
I actually think that makes sense because all the smart people who actually look at the security footage be like, "Oh, okay," like they go through their database.
Well, I'm
and
saying,
they
how
see
does
faces and
everybody
stuff.
not know? Like, how?
Well, no,
like,
because
okay,
how many people know
Superman
Clark
goes
Kent?
into a courtroom and they take pictures of him, and then like fucking Clark Kent's a goddamn reporter.
No,
how
but-
does no one go?
He's wearing glasses.
No,
man.
well,
Yeah.
on top of that, it is a little cartoony, but
I just don't buy it.
in the defense of that is because
I know this is nitpicking.
yeah,
but-
like Clark Kent, you know, his picture's not on the what's called on Daily Planet at all, and he's
Yeah.
not on the website. They kind
But he has coworkers. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
his
coworkers, but then
coworkers
his
should
Lawrence
immediately-
Fishburne
But then how
didn't
many-
think it was weird.
well, how many of them
Nobody
have
cares
seen
about Clark Kent
Superman
taking
and
on
Clark
the
Kent
Batman.
like up close and personal, and they all seen him from afar, right? There's like
Yeah.
a select group of people, and then the only people that probably knew is that like they're like security coming and stuff like that. I mean, that's the only way I could justify.
That's
That-
fine.
that's-
It's semantics.
Let's
at
get
this
back
point.
to Man of Steel.
Okay, but
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So all of this considering and stuff, well, wait, what is we were talking about his visuals and everything, but what do you guys? What's your favorite shots from him by any chance? Like, what's one moment where you see a Zack Snyder film like that's Zack Snyder? I love him, and I swear to God, I'm gonna put this up on my poster.
I usually hate everything I see, but there is one shot I like. In Watchmen, there's that shot of Rorschach like hanging on like the broken window pane, and he kind of looks like a bird. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, it's like in the
What?
very beginning of Watchmen, like right after the comedian gets like thrown out the window and everything.
Yeah.
Rorschach like is like, you know, he breaks into the comedian's house to do some like investigation shit, and he's like hanging on like the broken window, and he kind of looks like a bird or something.
Wait,
like-
he
What an
hangs.
odd
Wait, are you
choice.
wait? Okay, are you talking about the scene where he first does the grappler?
But then there's like a shot of him just like holding his like body up in it, and he's like kind of positioned super weird, and like, you know, there's like dusk behind him, and like what's
I would have to double check. Is
It's like
the
super-
way I remember is that he just does the grappler and he gets on.
this?
and he-
I think this
and he
is.
crouches
I
on
do
his
think
hand.
this is from the extended version though. This is from like the
Okay.
4-hour
Oh,
version.
this is
Yeah.
like
No.
when the cops like return to the
Yeah.
apartment or something.
Yeah. Okay, if that's the
Oh.
case.
If I had to say, for me, it's probably in 300. Leonidas' solo sequence as he's like breaks away from the phalanx and starts like taking on solo Persians. And the way they shot that is really interesting. They had 3 different cameras with 3 different focal lengths mounted on the same rig, and they shot the sequence at the same time using all 3 cameras. And in between, they digitally blended them so you could zoom in and out of the action as it's happening, and it looks seamless and it looks really badass. That's like probably, I think, one of his best uses of slow motion and stuff
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Like as he's like boom boom, like you see him like striking, and you get to see Leonidas's skill and precision, and it's just, I don't know, it's super dope. Like I totally dig that scene, and I totally praise them for the technical aspects of that. Like that's just awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, that I was gonna say the same shot, and it's so cool. Like the whole look of the film, like we were watching
Yeah,
a breakdown and stuff. Like the way they did it is like they were like green screen or blue screen the entire thing to get the look,
Yeah.
and they would have like this and like there was this giant like overhead light mat,
Oh
right,
yeah.
with like 3 different layers of diffusion.
Yeah,
so
they
you
just
kind
had
of get
a
a
bunch of diffusion up there to give like
Yeah.
soft, consistent light throughout the set.
yeah, and it kind of gives like this like painterly look to everybody, just already
Yeah.
pre color grade.
I think 300 is probably his best looking film. The one shot or two maybe that come to mind are when they reference it in the beginning, we'll fight in the shade, and then when you actually see the arrows coming,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, fuck. That was really like epic. That he sold that scene really well for me. And then also just when he cuts, what's the villain's name?
Xerxes.
Xerxes.
Yeah.
When he cuts him and he bleeds,
Yeah.
fucking perfect.
No,
That
I
was
love-
like they didn't kill him, didn't matter. Like they
Yeah.
proved he's not a god. It was
I love
it was
Xerxes looking at his hand shaking, like
Yeah, it's
covered
just
in
like,
blood.
oh my god.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
Oh yeah,
yeah.
he loves his god analogies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
would become a huge staple for him.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
even like
yes.
the Superman, like, did he have, you know, when Superman, like, the scene where he escapes Zod's ship and in Man of Steel, and, you know, he talks to the hologram Russell Crowe,
Yeah.
and then, you know, he's like, go be the hero and save him. And he's about to save Lois, but instead of just flying, he does the Jesus Christ analogy, and then like
He does that so many
Yeah.
fucking
He
times.
goes
with
out of the ship
Superman.
slowly, like I'm Jesus, I'm Jesus.
He extends his arms for no reason.
Yeah.
He floats back
Yeah.
out into space
And
towards
it-
Earth,
yeah,
descending
it's a
from the
boom.
heavens.
Yeah.
And
They
then-
even did it in fucking Snyder Cut. There is a fucking Jesus shot of Superman. I thought I thought we weren't going to do it, but
No, I mean he does lay off a lot. I mean we'll get into the Snyder
Yeah.
cut, but like
Yeah.
he does. I think that's one of the better parts of that movie is he
lays off the God stuff. Yeah,
But he
Yeah,
also lays off Superman quite a bit in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good because again he shouldn't do Superman. He just shouldn't do Superman.
No, I think
That's- yeah.
Henry Cavill's great as Superman.
While we're still
Yeah.
talking about General Zack Snyder things, I do want to bring this up. He's got a thing about like post-apocalyptic cities. He likes blowing up cities. Because let me
Yeah.
like Army of the Dead. That whole movie takes place in a post-apocalyptic city.
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn
Dawn
of the
Yeah.
Dead, that takes place in a destroyed city.
The
He
end of
blows
Watchmen.
up like all of New York and like several cities in Watchmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justice League and what's it called? Batman fights Superman.
Man of Steel.
The most
That one.
egregious is Man of Steel.
Man
Like,
of
Yeah.
Steel.
Man of
They
Steel.
just completely.
No, but I'm not
somehow-
necessarily saying the process of destroying a city. He likes showing the aftermath a lot.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause
Like
there's beauty in
there's so
destruction.
many shots of like deserts and like destroyed buildings and structured in his filmography. I just don't
Yeah.
understand why this is his like thing.
He
It's like
likes-
that and God allegories.
Yeah, he likes like spectacle. I think spectacle over substance. Sometimes that's like one of his biggest weaknesses.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Or it shouldn't. One of the biggest weaknesses, it should be all spectacle and no substance, but he tries substance, which will come up very soon.
Ooh, yeah.
it will come up very soon. I will not to get too into it. I think one of the other things I really like about Zack Snyder is, like obviously, we talk about his desaturated colors and insane shots, but it's like his use of motion, like slow motion, and like also the appreciation of like the human body. Yeah. Like it's like okay, like not to get too deep into it because I'll probably get into the theatrical cut versus Snyder cut later when we talk about it. But it's just like there's a scene where like in the Snyder cut where like there's like the Amazonian ladies and they're just like swinging the hammer and breaking and stuff. You see, and it's very slow motion. You see the abs like contorting and protecting.
Muscles flexing.
Or in Man of Steel, and he's on that like oil rig, and
Yeah,
he's
and
like
it's-
holding it up, and it's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
like
a
a-
shot. It was fucking
Yeah.
abs. Like,
And if you get cast in the Zack Snyder movies, you better hit the gym. I don't know.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, Henry Cavill, he, I think before Man of Steel, he had lost a ton of weight for some role beforehand, and he had to pack on like 40, 50 pounds of muscle. Like, it's ridiculous amount of muscle. Because they brought him in, they're like, this is who you want to be?
Yeah.
Like, Superman, he's like, dude, I can pack on the muscle. And he did.
Superman
Yeah,
didn't have to
and
do
he
that.
claims he didn't use
Oh,
steroids.
yes, he did.
Which I
He's
respect.
Superman. He's supposed to be jacked.
He is supposed to be Jack. What are you
He's
talking
like-
about? Superman
He's
not Jack?
Okay,
Why?
it's not
Why
as bad
How
does
as
he
is it
have to be
distracting?
jacked though? Like,
Okay, well, think
Brandon
about it.
Routh
his strength
wasn't
comes
that
from the
jacked.
sun. It doesn't come from his muscles.
But then
like,
again,
yeah.
he could be
he's-
like a fat guy and it would have been fine.
No, but even then,
He's the
it's
man
like-
of tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be like
But
the
visually-
ideal guy.
I get it.
The ideal guy has to be in physical fucking perfect condition.
Yes,
of
that's the
course.
point of
That's
ideal.
You don't know what ideal means.
I will say
Those
this
guys.
though. This is kind of more of a Batman v Superman thing, but I have to say this. I'll save it. Batman's too jacked, but we'll get into that later.
Okay.
Nah, okay,
Well,
you
I
know
mean,
what?
I think we
Okay.
can move into
Yeah.
the Snyder DC universe. Right?
Okay, yes.
So, Zack Snyder with Man of Steel, he completely shaped, set up what the DC universe is supposed to be like, the cinematic universe. And I think for better or for worse, it's definitely stuck around. That look.
Hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
I think with Man of Steel, I mean, we've been talking about it. Like, there's definitely some issues he had with him. I don't think he should have done Superman. I think it was an interesting take. I defended it when it first came out. I was like, all right, it's a different interpretation, but it's not bad.
General Zod's spaceship looks like a penis.
Yeah. That it does have my favorite.
I will
line.
find him.
I will find him.
That's my favorite line in the whole movie. That's
I don't like Man of Steel, man.
no,
I
think-
like the Krypton shit. That's super fucking cool. But then the rest of the movie happens.
I kind of like the first half of that movie. I think it's fine. But then it becomes like an absolute shit show.
Oh yeah.
Like it's so relentless in the action and like sounds and everything. I feel like I'm being bombarded the entire second half of that movie. Like it makes me uncomfortable.
Did Denny's like sponsor that movie? They like they
I don't know.
IHOP and 7-Eleven and Sears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like
It's not as bad as Krispy Kremes and Power Rangers.
Yeah.
The
We
budget
have
was
to go to Power. We have to go to the Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
I would say that like there's a lot of stuff I liked in Man of Steel. I really liked how Krypton was interpreted like initially, but looking back on it, like revisiting it, no, I don't like it. I think I prefer the crystal world of Krypton, like originally, how it's like this bright like crystal perfect world, but it eventually collapses and dies or whatever. That's more interesting to me than this like brown and muted version of Krypton. I did like when like Jor-El is like he meets the Space Council, like the Council of the Kryptonians, and they have like really cool production design, and then there's like this big space battle happening, and he jumps on the back of a 4-winged beast and flies through like this whole thing. It's like that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's cool, but I don't know. I think it could
I
have.
felt bad for that beast when it died.
I do. No, I know. Like, poor dog. I mean, that's not a dog, but it's basically a dog.
Similar. Hey.
Harak.
Yeah.
That's the name.
Harak.
Of the
But
Yeah.
to
Who's
be
paying
fair,
for those damages that Superman and Zod did?
no, it's
I
like
think
the
Lex.
The government.
Yeah,
No, the
Lex
government
and
taxes and
Lex
stuff.
and
Or
Bruce,
the-
maybe.
honestly, I would have totally loved to see an HBO Max series where they talk about the taxes.
I'm honestly surprised that didn't come up in Batman v Superman.
No, I bet
think-
you if there's a 4.5-hour version,
I will say that was one of the biggest criticisms I had with Man of Steel was like I think a lot of people had with Man of Steel was like the overall just destruction of like Metropolis while he's fighting Zod, like just destroying everything left and right for like not the zero attempt to like, hey, let's take this out of the city.
No, exactly. And you remember? No, they went into space. Like they went outside the atmosphere.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they went back to the exact
Yeah,
same
we gotta fly right back to Metropolis. We're not done.
Hey, you
could
could have gone to Everest or some shit. Like,
Yeah. I think would
fight
have been
over the
interesting.
ocean, man.
To be honest, I think it would have been interesting if their fight was all over the world.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Why not?
I kind of want to bring up that. So the end of the movie, like it's like Superman has cornered Zod, and then they're at the museum, and Zod's like, "Oh, fuck you! I'm gonna kill this random family." And Superman's like, "No, don't make me do this! No!" And then he snaps Zod's neck, and he like falls to the floor and goes, "No!" And it's like, have we really established though that Superman has like a thing against killing? I mean, shit, bro! Like you just murdered half of fucking Metropolis.
I think for him it's like the idea is that he killed the one last person left
yeah,
in his reigns, right?
it
And
was
that
his
truly
only
alone.
connection to.
Well, they
his
don't
planet.
set that up though.
No, they
No,
do.
they do.
They do a little bit,
No,
yeah.
they do.
He says
Yeah.
like
Probably not enough, but they set it up.
he thinks his world is gone. He thinks his people are gone, and then the Kryptonians do show up, which I really dug their design just overall. I love their space suits,
Like their penis suits.
Yeah, it looks like a Black Sabbath cover, like their weird like space suits that looks badass.
They look
I
like
totally dig
badass
that.
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah. No, that is cool. I would love to see a Buzz Lightyear film, by the way.
But I think I actually like when he killed Zod. I do think that was a big thing. I know that was very polarizing when it happened, but I think they could have used it in a really important way. Like they could have had that be his big moment where he never decides to kill again because of how traumatic and fucked up that is. But
They don't.
the first,
Yeah, and then
the
in
first-
Batman v Superman, he's literally murdering everyone.
Yeah, the first bad guy Superman encounters in Batman vs Superman, he
just runs right
punches him through like 4
Dude,
walls. He immediately
Are
murders
we
him.
on Batman v Superman now?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay,
Okay,
let's just
because
go
I
on
wanted
Batman
to
v
say that is a super weird introduction for Superman.
Yeah.
It's like I was thinking, okay, a lot of superhero movies or just big blockbusters in general, they like to introduce their characters in a super fun way. I was thinking about like Dark Knight Rises kind of does it all right. It's like it's a more low key version of that blockbuster thing, but it works. It's just Batman appears and he makes like a car flip over or something, and everyone claps. In this, Superman appears, and then there's like this weird moment where it looks like it's supposed to be cute, like he kind of gives Lois a wink, and then he murders the shit out of this terrorist.
Yeah.
It's very
Dude.
off-putting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To be fair, though, I mean, he did commit some human atrocities.
Yeah, I know.
He's
Still not
he's
supposed to be
Superman
killing people.
Well, I guess
and
in this Superman,
wanted-
he does kill.
I
right?
wanted to say that I think that Zack Snyder, I don't know if this is Zack Snyder or this is just the DC universe in general. They're like super bad at introducing characters in each movie.
Oh, yeah.
Batman's introduction is like kind of weird. like it's a weird way to introduce Batman, like cleaning up Superman's mess. It just felt odd.
I think for what they were trying to do with the film.
And then,
like,
sorry, can I say one more thing?
No, well, yeah, sure.
And then Wonder Woman's introduction, especially, is really like the most boring way you could have done it. Not when she's actually in the Wonder Woman suit, but just like introducing her at like Lex Luthor's party or whatever. It just feels really boring.
It was all right.
It was alright. I mean, for that one, I let it slide for Gal Gadot's, good old Diana Prince. It's because like I think they're just trying to set up the human character yet, and then build up and ramp to the first, when she dons the costume.
If I may, I think the best way I think to sum up what's wrong with Batman v Superman and their interpretation, or Snyder's interpretation of Superman, is what they do to Jimmy Olsen. Yeah. Jimmy Olsen is a sweet and friendly guy who works at the Daily Planet with Clark. He's like his buddy. He gets into trouble sometime, and Soup will bail him out or whatever. In this movie, he gets shot in the face by a terrorist 15 minutes into the movie, and he never meets Clark, and Lois doesn't even know who he is. It's like, wow.
Yeah. I get that. It is pretty, like, after, like, what's called, like, the lore regarding that character and everything. I guess it's okay. Remember Jesse Eisenberg? Jesse Eisenberg was supposed to be Jimmy Olsen.
That would have made more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, not in this movie because
Yeah.
just got shot in the
Like
face.
2 minutes of screen time.
They wanted to have like a stunt, like it's basically like a stunt actor, right? Where like not stunt actors, like it's like a term where they put a famous person in a role only to kill them off in like the next 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
And they were planning to do that for Jimmy Olsen, but they were like, nah, you know what? He talked to Jesse Eisenberg. He's like, you make me uncomfortable. Gosh, you're so creepy. Do you want to be Lex?
Oh man, let's talk about Lex Luthor because I'm not a fan of Jesse Eisenberg's impression or his version of Lex Luthor.
I like Jesse Eisenberg in this movie. He's one of the only things I like. I understand. Okay, so I'm not into comic books at all. I don't know anything about like the lore. And from what I understand, this is a pretty poor depiction.
It's a different interpretation. I'll give him that much.
I understand that I understand this doesn't accurately represent the character Lex Luthor. I just found Jesse Eisenberg entertaining a lot. There's like that scene. It's actually the best scene in the movie when they're at like the party sequence and Jesse Eisenberg's giving like this long, boring, weird speech, and like everyone's looking super confused in the audience, and he's like kind of stumbling over himself. I don't know. I really liked him. I thought he was entertaining.
I think he gave a good performance, but like it's strange. But
it's just not.
It's not Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Like
maybe he should have been the Joker.
I feel like this movie.
Riddler, maybe.
Yeah, the Riddler would have been perfect.
Yeah.
If he played the Riddler in the same way that he played Lex Luthor, I would have been completely on board.
Yeah, he's obsessed with like these convoluted plans. I don't know. It's like Luthor. He's very arrogant. He's the smartest guy on the planet, and he knows it. And he's like, and he just hates Superman because he's like the exemplary figure of like humanity. He's the peak of what humans want to be, right? He's like this perfect guy, and Lex is like, that should be me. Yeah. I am the perfect human.
Yeah, it's a god complex.
Yeah, exactly. And oh boy, does he have a god complex in this
Batman
movie.
v Superman. Yeah,
everything he talks about is gods, and
he's
the
like
demons and angels above, and it's like, oh man.
Okay,
God cannot be all powerful, and God cannot be all good.
You are not God. And it's like he never said he was God. Like, he's just trying to do good shit.
He's been watching too much of the news.
Okay, so once again, I don't know anything about the comics, so what I'm about to say is probably just totally wrong. But I think it would have been cool if Lex Luthor's like motive was more genuine fear for humanity. If it was actually altruistic. What if we do a sympathetic angle with Lex Luthor where he's actually terrified for humanity? He's like, oh my god.
Wait, but
this guy.
that's Batman.
I know, but I'm just but that doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying Lex Luthor. What if Lex Luthor's like this humanitarian and he's like, oh my god, I'm terrified of Superman. We have to do something because he could like destroy this planet. He could enslave us. And what if his like fears were real? And he was doing this for the greater good, and then I don't know. Maybe he realizes he's wrong. I understand that's probably not what Lex Luthor is in the comics, but that's just my.
That's fine.
What could have been more interesting?
I think it would. Yeah, it would have been much more interesting if they gave Batman's storyline to Lex and just have it be basically this battle between Lex and Superman. Like that would have been more interesting. Like Lex makes a mech suit to fight Superman. It wouldn't have it really would have. I don't know. It would. I don't know. Maybe not with like Jesse Eisenberg because it's hard to see. Imagine him taking on Superman even in a mech suit. That just would have looked really silly. But I don't know. But like it would have been more interesting than introducing Batman and he immediately hates Superman. It's like why?
It's very
like,
contrived.
it makes sense that like he would be angry at Superman. I get that because he caused all this destruction all over Metropolis. So it makes sense for him to like chew out Superman and be like, "Hey, buddy, like if you're trying to be a hero, you can't just go, just blowing up a city just because you're trying to fight one dude." But like I don't know. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like why he immediately is like, I gotta kill him. It's like I gotta kill this guy. It's like you want to talk to him first, maybe. Like I don't know.
Oh,
There's that classic line where he's like, if there's a 1% chance that he could be our enemy, we have to take that as an absolute certainty. And it's just like, fuck you, dude.
Like why?
There's been no indication that Superman is a villain at all. Like. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
I think it might have made sense if they made a Batman film before this that explains like his character at this point.
There should have been like 2 Batman movies.
Yeah, because
there should have been a Superman movie before
this.
too.
Where's Man of Steel 2? Where's Man of Steel 2?
Yeah,
I want Man of Steel 2.
That's like the biggest problem with this whole series is that it's like not planned well, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. But yeah, I really think that Batman should have had like 2 movies before this, and Superman should have had 2 movies
the
before
writer
this
of Justice
to
League,
really flesh them out.
Yeah,
the writer of Justice League, Chris Terrio, agrees with you 100%. We'll go into that in a bit, but
it's like okay, so the different plot threads that are going on in this movie. Batman is tracking some Russian guy because somehow that leads back to Superman because he's trying to figure out something is happening. They're trying to import something. Lois is tracking down a special bullet that she seen when they tried to frame Superman.
Yeah.
Superman is dealing with everyone.
Which is dumb, by the way. Like, why would Superman be using a bullet? Like,
No. But then, okay.
They frame him.
Okay, to be fair to the context of that situation, is that when they're reporting, Superman's crimes against humanity, it's like they didn't report the bullet. She's the one who went out and found the bullet, and she's trying to investigate who fired the bullet so that she could prove, put it on the Daily Planet and prove his innocence. Sure. You know how they try to burn the body?
I don't think it should have been like given the amount of screen time.
It took a lot.
They really just try to find a way to shoehorn Lois into this. That's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
Clark is trying to track down the lady who testified against him. And he's also trying to track down Batman because apparently he's branding people and he doesn't think he's okay.
The Batman's dead.
Literally, the first time Superman encounters Batman, he threatens him. He just immediately is like, "Hey, you ever try to be Batman again? I'm taking you out, man. Like it's done." And it's like, why the hell?
Dead.
Like why
Bury it.
Would Superman do that? He's not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
He would at least be like this is all loosely based off of The Dark Knight Returns, right? Those comic books. Mm-hmm. And in those comic books, even though Superman has gone full fascist, he's a full a puppet of the government. Yeah, he still is constantly trying to reason with Bruce. He's like, "Listen, man, I don't want to fight you. We have to figure out a way to to work this out. Like, trust me, man. Don't like just cool off a little bit or something, right?" Like he keeps those Superman ideals even when he's a corrupted version of his character. But in this case, no, he immediately is like, "I'm gonna take you out, dude."
What he says, it's really hilarious what he says. He says something along the lines of, "The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy."
Yeah.
What a hero!
It's like, jeez, man.
Yeah, I think what's it called? Yeah, I think it's like the whole Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is like your own self-interest. It's like because I think he had a talk with Martha, right? When the Martha was like, be the hero, be their symbol,
and he's like, all right, I'm gonna
owe them anything.
Take out Batman then, I guess.
Yeah, and Batman looks like frustrated every time he has to help a hero. Like this is taking away from pussy time with Lois.
Should we just talk about Batman now? Because I gotta be honest, I fucking hate this interpretation of Batman.
It depends.
I think, for the record, I want to say a positive. It's like the only positive I have. I fucking hate this movie. But I hate their interpretation of Batman, but I actually, upon rewatch, really like their interpretation on Bruce Wayne. I like all the detective shit he's doing. I love him at the fight. He's like at a weird seedy fight club. I think this is only in the new version.
The ultimate.
I like him at the seedy fight club, although I do have a
I do have a
nitpick. Does nobody notice that? Does nobody like take a picture and like that doesn't trend on like Gotham Twitter?
Yeah, what's he doing there? Like, why is he there?
He's Bruce Wayne.
And he's like really rough with his like fighter too.
Yeah, he's like, go beat his ass, bitch.
Like nobody takes a picture and goes like Bruce Wayne's an asshole.
Yeah.
But point being, I like him doing all the detective shit.
Well, I
I
think
like
it's
him
probably-
fucking. I really like it. That's like my favorite part of the movie. I like Batman doing all the detective shit. He's at the Fight Club, then he's like snooping around Lex Luthor's house. I like him in the Batcave doing all
Dude,
that
he
shit.
doesn't
But
do
I
much at Lex
hate-
Luthor's house, though.
I just like
he
them-
fails his mission. There.
I just like them
Well, I mean,
utilizing
yeah, so-
Batman
because
as a detective.
Diana took
Yeah.
the files. Yeah.
I just like them
Yeah.
utilizing Batman as a detective. Most movies don't do that. It's
I
fine.
mean, this movie's a mess because I think it suffers from stuff of like Age of Ultron or whatever. This whole the cinematic universe problem, which is like basically just trying to set up 6 other movies while like trying to try and tell somewhat of a cohesive story.
Yeah.
It's like if they're going with the Batman versus Superman angle, their conflict should have been like really the central focus, but they don't even really meet until like an hour into the movie. And then when they do meet, it's immediately confrontation, and it's like there's no real escalation there in their relationship at all. And Batman fighting Superman should be this huge thing. Like it's like, oh my god, like our 2 heroes fighting each other, and there's no weight to it at all.
I mean, they.
Oh wait, to be fair,
I agree with you. Sorry, I agree with you, but like, they do give them reasons as to why they don't like each other. But it does feel dumb. Like they shouldn't immediately be fighting each other because they should know like the shit that each other are doing, right?
Yeah.
But it's still dumb.
Well, to be fair, it's like I think I think well, at least in the theatrical cut, I agree. They don't give anything. It's just like, oh, we met at a party. Batman tries to run over Superman and Martha.
Yeah.
And that's the theatrical cut essentially, right? But at least in the extended edition, right, they add like a couple different things, like the investigative reports that Clark Kent does, and he sees a plan, and he actually genuinely sees Batman, like in his perspective, like a genuine terrorist, right? That and at this point they already established he's willing to blow through terrorists' bodies.
By the way,
Yeah, so why didn't he just murder Batman?
By the
there?
way,
Because he's American,
by the way, at the party, do they know who each other are? Because it kind of feels like
they do.
Why? How?
Because
How
think
and
about it.
why?
Batman know.
Because Batman's a detective, world's greatest detective. So he probably.
But they don't establish, like, when I was redoing my rewatch, like, 2 days ago, I was like, do they know who each other are? Because there's, like, the handshake, and they're kind of, like, staring each other down.
I would not pick a
Super-
fight with this person.
What does Batman say? Batman's like, we have a thing against clowns in my city.
Yeah.
and then Superman probably knows. Because, he was overhearing the entire conversation.
Yeah.
I can buy that.
He knew he was up to something.
And then, come on. And then Batman not knowing who Superman is, he probably was investigating Superman the day he arrived. Right? He's probably like combing through all the footage and stuff like that in his database. So like that's understandable. I don't have a problem with that.
The bat is dead. Bury it.
What's it called? And it's like, let me ask you something.
Can we go back to Batman? Because I really hate this depiction of Batman.
Well, I think I would have
And
liked
I
it.
think Ben Affleck does a great job with what he's given. Because when they announced Ben Affleck was going to be Batman, I was super excited.
Yeah,
But I don't like what the
You were
writers
one
did.
of one in that regard.
I think and you know what? And he succeeded exactly where I thought he would. I knew he'd be a great Bruce Wayne. I knew he would be perfect for that. It's not his fault. It's the fucking writers that made Batman this like miserable fucking character. And I understand that Batman's a dark character. I wish there was build up to this Batman. I'm down with an angry older Batman that's killing people. I just wish we understood more why. There's my favorite part of this movie. There's a shot of Batman in the Batcave, and he's like looking at like a Robin suit, and it says, "Ha, the joke is on you." Mm-hmm. I feel like this, like that's the movie I want to be in. I wish we could have seen that. Yeah. I don't understand why we're cutting to Batman fucked up now.
It would have been way more interesting to watch like the fall and decline of Batman as a character. Why has he? How did he end up here? Really? And they hint at it a little bit. And I think this movie would have been fine 10 years from now, because another big thing that happens in this movie is Superman fucking dies. And it's like Superman dying, when it happened, in the comic books, it was on the news. It was a huge thing.
Must have been a slow week for the news.
It was like, it was a monumental event because it's like Superman doesn't die. Like Superman is this like symbol of hope. He's this whole thing. He was like a symbol for America and whatever. And when he died, it was like it was a really big event. But in this film, they just montage him, you know, saving people and doing some
And
Superman
looking miserable
stuff.
the entire
Yeah, and
time.
looking like he's gonna cry halfway through the time. And it's like is he a symbol of hope? Because it's like when he flies in, it's like everyone just like he just looks like he's miserable, like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's like why? And then
he's
he
like
dies.
pulling the ship, like
Yeah.
in the same way like a child being dragged to like church is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
or
just
like-
like nah.
Oh, you know those fucking what's it called like in old like French prisons, like they would have to drag those chains into the walls. That's what he was. He looked like a prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's why does he seem like he has this like is it I was gonna say syphilis. No, syphilis or fuck. It was the Greek story of the man pushing the boulder up the hill. Like Sisyphus. Yes. He's like trying to do this, and I would have been fine with that. Again, like 10 years from now, where Superman starts off and he like, you know, you see him building this like relationship with humanity, and you see his effect on the world, and it's like, and he's just always running around being like, man, I just constantly have to be saving people. Like, you know, that line from The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible is like, I just saved this place, like I have to be back again. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a fine interpretation of Superman, but you have to build towards it.
Yeah.
You know?
And they
Why
did it
is
in the
Batman
second movie.
branding people?
He's mad.
Yeah, he's
why
mad.
why is the brand a death sentence?
Oh,
Why would the
Well,
other-
because
why would the
he
other
only
criminal-
brands like, you know, he only brands like child rapists or like, you know, sex traders or whatever like that. And I guess then that's why he's just like, he wants people to know like, this guy.
because in prison you get it, you know.
Yeah, and then at this point, because I know, is it either Tim Drake? They said it might be Dick Grayson that actually died.
Bullshit.
And I would have hated that if that was the case, because I love Dick Grayson, Nightwing and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But then, like, you know, one of the Robins died brutally in front of him by Joker at this point.
Wish
Which
we could have
one?
seen
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
It's like, oh, that seems like
Yeah.
that's really sad for him. I don't know their relationship.
Why
or
not
what happened
explore
or
that?
anything.
Yeah, and Joker
Yeah.
and Batman hasn't met at this point. You know?
Batman's too
God.
ripped in this movie. I'm sorry. I don't like my Batman.
Okay, this is where I disagree, because you know Batman's supposed to be also pinnacle of like
Okay.
human condition.
Okay,
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
here's the deal.
Yeah,
I
and
like.
also,
I'm
my
just happy
Batman,
we saw his
Batman
ass.
to me.
Yeah.
Batman to me is an assailant of the night. He's like a ninja. He's an assailant of the night. He's a creature of the shadows. I like him doing some crazy, like disappearing, reappearing, taking out people's shit. I don't know. I don't like my Batman to be like this giant.
I don't mind him being big.
massive-
He could
Yeah,
be big
no, I
and
mean,
do
think about
both
it.
those things.
If he
Yeah,
wasn't
I'm
that
fine with
jacked, if he's not that jacked, and then when he's fighting against like, you know, more like Bane or whatever, right?
He-
Yeah, he has no chance. Like if he's like a twig, you know, if he's a
I'm not
Joseph
saying
Gordon-Levitt,
Batman should be a twig. I'm just saying I don't know. I like my Batman a little leaner fit. I don't know. If being Batman's like a
depends.
fast character. He's
Yeah.
very fast.
well, he
he's
could still
not.
be fast and buff,
He's
you know.
he's not Darth Vader. He's fucking I don't know, a ninja.
It depends,
Yeah,
like on the
that's
context.
fair.
Yeah.
Because if it's like the Dark Knight trilogy, the Christopher Nolan, you know, none of his villains could like fly through buildings, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that way, like, you know, a ninja makes more sense, right? Because like
Yeah.
he's trained by, you know.
I'm
what's it
fine
called?
with like again, this would have been beneficial if there had been some build up to this, but like if Batman had kind of been that slim or like slim fit like ninja kind of character like throughout like his own stories and everything, and then when he has to fight Superman, he bulks up, and then he's like, I gotta get on a whole other level because I'm going against fucking Superman. So like I'm fine with him like having a little training montage and him actually like, you know, building up toward those fights. So I think that's okay. But like again, we're missing like, you know, at least 5 years of build up to that.
Well,
I would
there
say
should-
lack
there
of
should
build up is a problem.
there should have been a
throughout all
Batman
of
Yeah,
them.
that's the biggest issue with this like series of films is there's just no build up. Like they have these characters that are established,
Yeah.
and I don't fucking care because I didn't see it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get wanting to
Except
do.
for maybe Superman. I would have liked another
Well,
Superman movie in between, but
I think
like,
they wanted to have an established Batman. I just think that, you know, maybe he's been doing it for 5 years, but he's still a more familiar Batman. He didn't have to be so drastically different from the start.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
this,
real
this
problem.
movie has like 5 intros too. Like it's like they show Batman's parents dying again, and it's like, all right, so like, are you trying to reestablish this character or not? Like, I don't know. But we see his parents die again. We see the terrorist sequence where Jimmy Olsen gets shot in the face. We see like
Batman's naked ass while he's
Yeah, showering.
yeah. And it's like I don't know it.
But okay, it's like I mean, you guys, how much you guys know about like the development process for this film?
Little to nothing.
So my favorite writer in the world, no, fuck this guy, but David S. Goyer. He's the guy who wrote the what's it called? Everyone loves him because he helped write the Dark Knight script. But then I honestly think that's because of Christopher Nolan was supervising it, and he was just offering like comic book knowledge. But he wrote Man of Steel like pretty much by himself, and I have problems with that film. But he wrote the script for this one. Apparently, it's super dark. Like Batman was 10 times darker. Superman was like doing some crazy ass shit. Like and then because Chris Terrio, I guess like he's like unleashing his fucking dirty laundry like of his experience with like DC films. Like my gosh, fuck these people. He's like
that's fine for the boys. Go over to the boys. I think that's more than enough. But again, it's what happens. Different stories. I'm cool with the dark interpretation of Superman. But again, if we see this Superman, what makes it more interesting is that turn to like that darkness. Yeah. If you see that like that fall from grace, whatever.
Yeah. With both, with Batman and Superman.
Yeah. But they didn't because David S. Goyer has a jerk on for like destroying characters, like making them dark, and then like
buildings.
And Zach's like dark, perfect. I'll accept anything you do. But then I guess like Ben Affleck, one of the things is like, okay, if I'm on this film, you got to bring the guy who made Argo with me, Chris Terrio, to help and just like try to make something out of this. And apparently Chris Terrio said when he read the script, he had like a panic attack. He was like, oh gosh, oh wow. He was like, what do I do with this? And then he fleshed out the characters. He added all the context. He added them actually. Apparently they didn't have I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong if anyone hears this and knows this, but Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne don't meet in like person, like outside of their costumes. So they don't have like those meetups before. Like he's the one.
Like, technically.
No. I'm saying in the script. But,
okay.
In the script.
Okay.
Like Chris Terrio added a bunch of that. Chris Terrio added,
Well, good, because if they hadn't met beforehand, like there would have been even less.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
One thing I wanted to bring up. This movie gets. I think another criticism of this movie is it's really trying hard to do like the God allegories, and especially it's asking the question if superheroes are real. Is that okay? There's like lots of scenes of like courtroom hearings and people
CNN News.
People arguing about
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about Superman. But here's my problem with it. I think this is just the wrong avenue for what he's trying to say. But also, he's basically already done this with Watchmen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, I think, again, with those God allegories, that's what makes Watchmen so great, is because
that's the right avenue for it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like Dr. Manhattan is so far beyond humanity. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't even really experience emotions anymore. I mean, he does kind of later, but like he sees backwards and forwards through time. He's like immortal. Technically, he barely even has like he doesn't really even have a physical form. No, like that's so beyond what like humanity is. And that's not what Superman is. He is humanity. Like he's what we were aspiring to be. Yeah. No one's really aspiring to be Dr. Manhattan.
Are you aspiring to be Henry Cavill Superman?
No, honestly, no. No.
Body? I'm just kidding. No.
Just his body, yeah.
Yeah, just his body. Yeah.
I want those pecs, dude.
Oh yeah. It's called.
Yeah. No, I think it's like this movie is so preoccupied on like
weird allegories.
Yeah, asking these big philosophical questions about like Superman and their effect on humanity without really showing it. Like they're just asking these questions
because you can only do so much in a 3.5 hour, even 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
no, I know.
No,
but even then,
understand
think about it. It's squeezing in Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
It's squeezing in a Batman origin story, and it's squeezing in a Batman v Superman cockfest.
A sprinkle of
into
fucking
and sprinkle of Wonder Woman too.
Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
Like
By the way, I hate the name of this movie.
Oh,
Batman?
it would have been worse.
Yeah.
You know what the other titles would have been?
What?
Like he's like, oh, why can't it be more poetic? This is Zack Snyder. My impression of Zack Snyder. Sorry, Zack Snyder, I love you. He's like, why can't it be more poetic? Like Son of Sun or Night of Nights.
I don't know. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. When they announced that was the title, it almost seemed like a joke.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And then Chris Terrio, like he had no say in the title. Like they gave him the title before like the script was finished. And he asked, this is what he said. It's like, is this a law film? And it's like crime case, and he's like, no. And he's like, okay. You know,
People make that joke, but we see Superman in a courtroom in his Superman suit, and it's hilarious looking. That's the one thing I will say. When we saw this movie in theaters, Ron was sitting right next to me, and I spent like 80% of it laughing.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's hilarious. It's so bad that it's really funny. I actually kind of enjoyed watching it the first time.
Yeah.
I remember the best moment is when little Bruce Wayne is like running after the funeral of his parents. He falls into a pit. He's surrounded by bats,
God.
and then he begins to float
Fucking
upwards.
levitate, yeah.
And then I turned over to, I looked at like
Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
I looked over at Blake. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck
By
is
the way,
happening?
It's art, Ron.
why try to recreate the Nolan thing so much? That's like very clearly like the Nolan Batman imagery. It feels weird that he's trying
to
to
be fair, it's
distance
his own
himself
take,
from
like
that.
levitating Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
and
but
it was
the-
a dream sequence, but
Yeah.
like,
Oh, the fucking
still.
dream sequences.
Oh, the
God,
we'll
I'm
get
so
to that. We'll
sick of
wait.
that
We'll wait.
shit.
Let's wait for Justice League to talk about
Alright,
dream
Yeah.
sequences because
Okay,
that's going to
okay,
take another
to be fair,
hour.
okay, what are the positives? Like, you know, anything about this film? I know we've been trashing, but what do you guys just
I
like?
I like Bruce Wayne. I hate their take on Batman. I kind of like their take on Bruce Wayne.
I think it's greatly casted. The music, the music is pretty great. I think for the most part. Which I don't know. Going back to Man of Steel, I liked Hans Zimmer's kind of version of the Superman theme at first back in the day, but revisiting it, I was like, man, this does not hold up. But like going back to this one, I think the little sound, the music for Wonder Woman was really cool. It's like distinct. And in that movie where like when she showed up, I was like, all right, like I'm actually hyped to see Wonder Woman now. I mean, even though they really
I hated her
she's just
music.
in here.
It took me out of it. Like
I liked it.
the second she shows up, every time she comes on screen, it's that like fucking like it's just like
And then you have
It's
like,
really
Tina
jarring.
Go with her violin. No. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
That's in like every movie, like in Justice League too.
every
It's very
time she comes on
jarring.
screen,
It's
you
very
hear that
jarring.
fucking.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
wait.
that's where it goes to like where they really overplay it like crazy.
Yeah.
When literally anytime she does anything in that movie, I mean we'll get into that one, but
Yeah.
like anytime she like I don't know like she walks into a scene, it's her little music plays and it's not good.
Positives. Do we have any
What-
other positives?
what's about-
I like Bruce Wayne in the movie.
What
I
about
like
you,
Ben
Jason?
Affleck. I just hate I hate what they did to Batman, but I do think Ben Affleck gave us 100%.
What about you, Jason?
The action sequences, I really love that action sequence where Batman goes after Martha.
Yes.
I even
Murder
though
Man.
there's some stupid shit in there, I can forgive it because like I don't know, that was like Batman fully realized.
Oh,
yeah,
on
yeah, I
screen.
agree.
Like in a way, like that's kind of comic booky, but also it's not really realistic, but like it fucking worked.
Yeah.
He murders like
He's just murdering people.
he
though.
murders
So,
like, he murders
but
10
he was fucking
people.
cool.
Okay.
He murders 10 people and then Martha goes, "You must be a friend of my son."
Yeah, she nearly dies. She like he blows up the fucking like guy with the flamethrower,
Yeah.
and then like he saves her, and that should be a traumatic experience, but she's like cracking jokes after him, like
Yeah, that
Martha, like what's wrong with you?
That's it.
I hate Batman's fucking iron costume at the end. I understand that's
yeah.
pulled straight from the comics, but
That
I'm
shit's
okay. No,
funny.
actually,
I
though.
don't want-
That fight scene, I really love that fight scene because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to me. He beats up Superman with a sink, and he starts like swinging him around. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was.
Yeah.
How
It's
come
dumb, but it was fun.
people always want to know, could Batman beat up this person? And the answer is always yes.
No.
Batman beats Darth Vader. Batman beats Superman. Batman beats this character.
Oh, if he
Batman
has
beats
prep
everyone.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Prep time.
because he's so smart, he could figure it out before.
Which I don't know.
In this,
In this version, nothing
No,
happens.
I think okay. Honestly, in this version, and I think most versions, I don't think Batman can actually beat Superman. I think if Superman is not holding back at all, Superman's dead. Even with prep time. Even
you mean
Batman's
Batman?
dead.
You mean
Batman's
Batman?
dead.
oh yeah, Batman's dead. Like even in the Dark Knight Rises or comic book or Dark Knight Returns comics, like Superman is hesitating the whole time. He doesn't want to kill Batman, and Batman takes advantage of that. So yeah, I think Batman could still come out on top.
That was kind of what was happening here, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta go talk to him, and then Batman's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you.
Yeah, and he never really explains himself until he's like,
I think the defining word for Batman v Superman and for Justice League is premature. I wish we had built up to all these things.
yeah, and it had a different writer.
Oh, also, wait, okay, what about, okay, real quick, what do you guys think about, like, kind of the nightmare sequences where they kind of, like
Oh,
reference
God.
injustice, God's Among Us,
Okay,
like,
this is I understand this is a nitpick, but it really bothers me. It really fucking bothers me.
You don't like...
Why is Batman wearing his Batman suit and then like a trench coat over it? If we're in this post-apocalyptic world, wouldn't he just be wearing fucking armor? He would not be wearing the Batman getup. Why? It would just make him hot and sweaty. It's so dumb. No, it's dumb. It's dumb.
From what I could tell,
It's
this
stupid
is
as
all
fuck.
like because of like interviews and stuff that I read. It's like Batman lost a lot of his shit. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like pretty much all he had left, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And then
He can take off the mask. He doesn't need. I don't think his secret identity matters anymore. The world is a desert, miserable fucking sand.
Well, also
shell.
also his helmet. It is like somewhat like Kevlar.
Yeah, it's like
and stuff.
bulletproof.
I
Remember
don't
he got
know.
shot in the head.
Batman wearing a trench coat, like holding a machine gun, is like the stupidest looking fucking
I think
imagery
it's
I've
okay.
ever seen in my entire life.
I just
hate
don't
every moment of
understand
it.
why those sequences had to be in these movies.
I know
Oh,
this
yeah.
is
Was that a
Justice
Zack
League.
Snyder-
I know
not
this
Zack
is
Snyder,
Justice League.
too.
I know this isn't
but
Justice
like,
League.
just
but
make the movie. Like, I don't like tease me with it. Like, make it after.
okay.
Like,
You don't
it's fine.
like the save Lois.
Oh my god! No,
She's
I would
the key.
I would be totally fine with that.
Am I too soon?
I would be totally fine with that sequence
I'm too soon.
if it wasn't a fucking dream sequence. Like, if
Yeah,
that
that's a
actually
weird
happened
choice.
and Bruce Wayne was like, "What the fuck?"
I mean,
it would have
it
worked.
is. It's a
No,
real-
he wakes up.
No, because it's like essentially the Flash is like sending him like images from the future.
But doesn't the
Stuff
Flash
like
like time travel? He should have just time traveled there and been like, "Hey."
I think technically, this is like an issue because it should be more clear.
Yeah.
It should be more clear what is happening. But I think technically he does come back in time, and then he like.
Batman just falls
says
asleep.
something.
He's like, "All right, that was boring."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm too soon."
Batman-
He's like, "Am I too soon?"
Batman
soon.
shooting people with a machine gun wearing a trench coat doesn't do anything for me. I'm like,
No, I
and
think-
by the way, I don't
Yeah.
like. I know everyone in the world has already said this. I don't like Batman using guns. Like I said, I like him doing ninja shit. It's just lame to me. Batman just
yeah.
mowing down people.
Okay,
It
yeah,
was
he shouldn't
weird.
be using guns at all. I mean, I guess it
Whoa,
it
okay.
kind of makes sense in like this post-apocalyptic world. He's lost everything. All his ideals have been like really stripped away from him. Fine, but again, that's something you really build towards.
he
That's
doesn't.
something that like you like. Oh my god, he's using a gun. It's like you already blew your load. In the first movie, you're introducing this Batman character. He's already fucking firing a machine gun and murdering people.
Yeah.
it's like you're just
That's like
yeah,
if-
there's no build up.
That's
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
we did Fat Thor in the first. Avengers.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, but to be fair, like to the writer and stuff, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of this movie, but you know, Batman does have like a fuck ton of interpretations and stuff like that, and there's a huge history. And Thor is like relatively new. Like, I mean, there's a comic book history, but cinematically, that was like the first time.
Look, like I said,
Yeah,
I
the
am
first
perfectly
major-
fine with Dark Batman. I just wish you built to it. That's
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd be perfectly fine with that. Yeah, as Blake said, if we built up to it, because this is completely separate from the comics. Like, you can interpret it any way you want, but like, there is a distinct Batman that we all know and love, and they just like said, "Fuck that, we're gonna do like the Dark Knight Returns Batman."
Yeah.
and
And it was Superman too.
Yeah.
yeah.
I give them credit, and I think when they do introduce Wonder Woman, she is new. This is like her first big screen like presence where she's actually, oh shit, Wonder Woman's like in a movie. Like that's like the first time that's ever happened, and I think they do her justice for the most part.
Justice?
She shouldn't. Yeah, this is the dawn of her
justice.
justice. No, it's like again, like we said, this shouldn't have been this movie. She shouldn't have been introduced in this movie because it's like this
How
should
many
have been
things?
really Superman's sequel. Like, they should have been Superman 2, him dealing with whatever, and then, like, just Lex or whoever the fuck. And then, but no, it's like they completely stole his spotlight with Batman, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, Doomsday. Like, ugh, like, I don't know. You lose so much.
Okay. All right. Any kind of final thoughts regarding Batman vs Superman? I know it's called. There's positive. There's like maybe very little positive.
Yeah. I feel bad shitting all over it, but
for me,
like,
I was excited. I was so excited when I first saw that movie. I was pumped to go into it. I had my reservations because of the stupid title.
Yeah.
Because they were like really. I was like, this seems like they're jumping the gun here. But I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how this goes.
It's better than Suicide Squad. Those trailers came out like the same week, maybe. I don't know. And I was way more excited for Suicide Squad because that trailer was sick.
Yeah.
Than I was for Batman v Superman, and then Batman v Superman sucked, but Suicide Squad was.
But that one
fucking atrocious. So I wasn't pleased with either.
Hashtag release the Ayer cut. Ayer cut.
Ayer cut.
Yeah.
This is a nitpick, but I literally rolled my eyes when like the homeless guy is like spray painting false prophet or false god.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, oh my god.
Jeez.
This is becoming like a thing for Zack Snyder. People arguing on CNN.
Yeah.
It's becoming a staple in his movies.
He's consistent.
Man, I want to say this. I went to rewatch this movie, and I actually deluded myself into believing maybe in 2016 I was an asshole. Maybe I was going too hard on it. No,
you're still an asshole.
No, it's just real bad, man.
Yeah. All right. So now we're gonna get into his last film, in the DCEU.
All right. Let's get back to the next film in Snyder's.
To the two films we were planning on talking about.
Yeah. Two big ones. Here we go.
So the last film in Snyder's wonderful, career in the DC universe is called The Snyder Cut by us beloved Zack Snyder fanboys. But it's actually Zack Snyder's The Justice League 2021, which is apparently actually in one of the official titles to help differentiate. It's weird.
Zack Snyder's Justice League 2021
or something. But it's in some countries it is like 2021 or something. Okay, so brief synopsis on this film, if you guys haven't already seen it. It's about what's it called? After the death of Superman, emo, depressed, suicidal Superman. It's called Batman.
They're both suicidal.
Bruce Wayne, decides, inspired by this heroic sacrifice, decides to find the last remnants of heroes within Earth to help unite them against a unified evil entity called Mother Boxes.
It's like Darkseid kind of, but he doesn't know who Darkseid is, or he doesn't know anything about Darkseid. He's just like, something's coming.
He says that at the end of Batman v Superman. He's just like, I know something's coming. Like, he has no idea.
Yeah,
but...
Wonder Woman's like, why? Like, why do you want to bring everybody? He's like, I just feel
By the way, what's the implication that at the end of Batman versus Superman, Superman's like coffin starts like raising rubble from the ground, but he's not alive. Like they have to.
No, it's just dumb. Don't even think about that.
They're gonna revive him, but it is stupid.
Yeah. Okay, because it means nothing, right?
It really does mean nothing. I thought that it's like, oh, so he's still kind of alive or he's healing, which I was like, well, way to undermine the ending like immediately in the ending.
Could you imagine if Logan had ended with like his hand ripping?
It's like, man, it's like, I think that's a good parallel for that movie. I mean, I know we're talking about Justice League. I'll go into that, but it's like if like Logan had happened like after the first X-Men movie, like it'd have been like, what?
Do we care?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that would have been fun. If someone went back in time and just erased those things and it was just Logan. Oh god, I would be interested in that world that we live in.
Okay,
Insanity.
So with particularly with Justice League, there is so much that went into that movie. As Blake likes to quote me, like, after the initial release.
Let me say it.
Okay.
I thought you weren't going to bring this up, so I literally put in my notes, bring this up. Ronald called this movie The Moon Landing. And I'm talking about not the Snyder Cut. No, Joss Whedon's 2017 Justice League. Ronald Mendez. It's the moon landing.
I said... Okay,
Explain yourself.
I will explain myself. Okay, so when I said it was the moon landing, I was referring into, like, how many things they had to overcome just for this movie to be released. Because the behind the scenes what went on in order for this, just the theatrical version of this movie, not even talking about the eventual director's Snyder's cut version that came out, but just for that movie to come out, holy crap, there was so much that they went through production wise just to get that first movie out. Yeah, I'm not saying it was like as big of an accomplishment as the moon landing. I'm not saying it was like, oh well, now we have the Justice League. It's like, no, it just to get that movie out. It's
a miracle itself.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, like we never thought it was gonna happen. Like hashtag release a Snyder cut, like a pipe dream, and then randomly in a Man of Steel like watch along with Henry Cavill and his mustache and big PC building arms, and then tell Zach like, I think you should show them. And Zach like, should I? And he's like, Zack Snyder's a Justice League. What? And then that whole thing.
When that announced, I couldn't believe it because that was such a meme. Like release the Snyder
I was like
cut.
texting like what's it called, Ron about it, and he was like, what? I was like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, no, I really thought, because I mean it was a meme because the theatrical version came out. Everyone, I mean, most people were like, wow, like that was just bad. That was a jumbled mess.
Horrible.
It kind of Phantom Menaced me when I first watched it. I was like, okay, well, like that wasn't too bad.
You called it the
Like,
moon landing.
I did not. I walked out. I was like, all right, well, I mean, a lot came into it, so I guess
There was
they get some
images on the
slack.
screen.
Yeah, like,
gosh.
okay, well, I mean, it wasn't too bad. And then, yeah, no, after reflection, it's like, holy shit, that movie was. Oof, it was pretty bad. But I mean, Philip, can you take us through like what exactly led to the release of both of these movies?
Yeah. Real quick, like on my thoughts about that, Ben Affleck had the best quote about it, where it's like, Justice League 2017 is basically like a horse putting on a tiger's body. Or something like that.
Fuck?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So basically this film had a trouble production and distribution cycle. Main thing was because after Batman vs Superman come out, and the studio expected this is going to be a $1 billion film. It's going to smoke fucking Captain America Civil War out of the water. I'm talking about big ass money. Oh yeah. And then no, it made about 800, a lot less than that. People were hating on it. Like kids were traumatized. As a result, but then the thing is, what happened is that it's almost already too late because they were already about to shoot Justice League. And then, but they had to make a bunch of like quick last minute decisions. And, while they were writing the film, they were like, okay, they got David S. Goyer off the film, right? And it's just Chris Terrio, which actually I think was a good decision. And, the writer of Argo. And then on top of that, this one I think was a bad decision. Like Larry Fong, the guy who did cinematographer for Batman v Superman, they were like, yeah, your visuals depress kids. Let's like, smooch you over. And then they got Fabian Wagner, who did like, he's a good cinematographer. He did the Battle of the Bastards for Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Mainly known for his work for there. And then they were like, okay, and then make it a little bit lighter. And then they made the film. And then, he made the film, and this is like around the same time, like while they're making the film, that AT&T bought Time Warner and Warner Media, and that just changed the whole thing because AT&T is this, it's a cell phone company, right? But they were trying to buy a movie studio and like a whole cable network, and then as a result they saw like Justice League, like, okay, fuck yeah, we're gonna make this a money blockbuster film. And then but there were already mandates while they were making the film, and they were saying like, okay, so hey, Kevin Tsujihara, who was the former CEO of Warner Brothers, they're like, I'm gonna give you a big ass fat paycheck if you make this film like super light on 2 hours and stuff like that. If you release it before the end of 2017, you will get a paycheck.
Okay.
And then, I imagine Zack Snyder's like, yo, I have like 6 hours of footage or whatever. Like, I need a lot of time for that. It's gonna look bad. And they were like, nah. But then, there's already troubles regarding that. And then Zack Snyder, an unfortunate thing that happened is his daughter, Autumn Snyder, died.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And it's terrible. It's like, he got, his daughter committed suicide, and he stopped away from the film.
Which
Dig-
makes complete sense. I
No,
mean, it's-
absolutely.
Yeah, that's like, it's truly tragic what happened to Zach. Like we said, he seems like a really good person.
He really does seem
Yeah.
like one of the most genuine dudes in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's for him to go through something like that, it's completely understandable. And, you know, I mean, you wouldn't wish that on, like, your worst enemy.
No,
yeah,
it's
really
terrible.
sad.
I guess they could have just like waited, or, you know, for him to come back and grieve and come back. I mean, like they did that for James Gunn. His dog died, and they let James Gunn grieve the death of his grieve the death, you know, like grieve the like be with his dog before he died. And they paused production for like 2 weeks, and then they let him
For
come
what
back
movie?
on. For Suicide Squad.
Oh,
The upcoming
interesting.
Suicide Squad, yeah. But then, you know, for him, they're like, "Oh, your daughter committed suicide." Wow, that's terrible. Okay, Josh Whedon, come over here, and he was already doing rewrites.
Yeah,
And then-
no, and this is what I was going to say. It seems real shitty of Warner Brothers to just be like, oh, okay, this horrible thing happened to you. Fuck you and your movie. Sorry, go grieve, whatever. We'll handle the rest. It feels really shady,
Oh,
right?
yeah, no, it's terrible. It's like
Yeah.
Warner Brothers used to be the best studio that any filmmakers want to work for. They were like, it was supposed to be the filmmaker studio.
From Denis Villeneuve to Christopher
Christopher
Nolan.
Nolan.
Yeah.
Like,
Clint
it was,
Eastwood.
yeah, it was known for having these like auteur directors who could really just fulfill their visions, which is one of the things I always respected about Warner Brothers. Like, even if the movies aren't great, they let the filmmakers really fulfill whatever they want to see
Yeah.
and what they're trying to do, and that's worth something. That's really
Yeah.
it's not something you see with any major studios really anymore.
Yeah. No, it's like, and then, no, it was bad too. And then it's like the CEO, Kevin Sujara, like, he has no experience making films. He used to run like toys and like home video sales. And then they decided, oh yeah, we'll let you in charge of all the creative aspect in the world. Yeah, and then luckily he's gone because he had an affair with like an actress or something. You know, good old Kevin Sujara.
Oh, he stepped right into that producer role.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
oh sweet, I get to make movies. I'm fucking actresses.
And then what's it called? Yeah, and then Whedon. Oh, Whedon.
Oh
Yeah,
Josh.
Should
Whedon.
we even address how terrible it turns out
Oh
he is?
yeah,
Yes,
like
yes,
it turns
yes.
out he's an asshole, which
Yeah.
is disappointing because I've liked
It's
Joss's
really
work
sad,
in the
yeah.
past.
I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I
love
like
Firefly.
Firefly.
Yeah.
Like,
Serenity.
yeah.
To be honest, I think I kind of like Buffy. I give it a pass because it was like in the early days of like, you know, like TV making.
Buffy's good after like season 2. Like
Yeah.
the first season and a half of that series is rough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I like what he did with it.
And
I'm-
Firefly and Serenity was
Yeah, I
was great.
would give him credit for Firefly because again, it's a low budget, like early 2000s show trying to do this like big sci-fi concept, but like it was done really well.
Yeah.
Serenity I think was a good follow up for that. For like they had to work with what they had, and it came out pretty damn well. I love both of those.
Yeah, and also the Avengers.
Yeah,
Fucking
first
nailed
the
it.
first Avengers is pretty good.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron, I actually kind of want to do. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later because I have some points to make about it that are relevant.
Okay.
It's like I think that one a lot of people gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was dealing with the studio system again with Marvel and like the giant beast that became the MCU, which I think is great, but also it is not without flaws.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think Age of Ultron just was the perfect example of everything that was wrong with the MCU. And
Yeah. I actually think Josh Whedon, he's a good, like, in terms of directing, he's good at, creating character dynamic. He's good at, like,
Yeah.
utilizing the script. And,
He's
yeah.
good at having multiple characters have something to do
Yeah.
at any given moment.
Right.
yeah.
And also make it, like, relatable stakes. Like, he always tries to, well, in this film it didn't work out, but, he usually tries to have them, like, relate to on a more,
Personal level.
pedestrian or a civilian perspective,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's always something, like, in, like, Captain America saving, like, a group of people from, like getting killed by the Chitauri, or you see, what's it called? Thor just like doing little things and like, or the cops, right? Captain America saving the cops and trying to tell them what to do. So there's always stuff like that, which is good. I think that's how you kind of, relate it back and make, and probably a real good version of the superhero. But I think his films,
Grounded.
Yeah,
a little bit.
one other thing I really like that he does is quick-witted dialogue. That's what he
Yeah.
does best.
Yeah.
That's what he's known for. Like I really enjoyed that first Avengers. I don't think it would have worked. Like he was perfect for that. I
Yeah.
think.
Could you imagine if Zack Snyder had directed the first Avengers movie?
I would.
Oh God.
I would have been curious. I'll say,
Loki.
and I think it works for the Avengers.
Thor, brother.
Yeah, but I'll say this about Josh Whedon. I think like his films are ugly. Like I think they're super flat looking.
Yeah, they're
but,
flat.
Yeah,
but
his like actual technical side is.
Yeah, I mean he
Not so
does
great.
he does know how to make them look good. Like, 'cause, he's in charge of the superhero shots and like the 360 turn of like all of the Avengers going like Avengers Assemble, and that part's good. But other than that, I think he's a bad visual director, and Zack Snyder is really good. Like I think he's one of the best visual directors, not like otherwise.
Yeah.
So to bring in like the worst visual director to come in and try to adapt his super dark version of all these
Well,
characters,
it's not
like
that.
one of the weird
It's-
ways to do it.
it's-
Like,
It's also trying to clash a director that's known for like turning everything into fun, clashing with a director that makes everything miserable and just being like, here you go, here's a
Well,
movie.
they both have their strengths.
They both
but-
have their
yeah.
strengths, but they
But
go
they don't
fucking
work
opposite
together.
of each
Yeah,
other.
they don't
Yeah.
go
It's
together.
like yin and yang. Like
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's about misery and suffering, and like Joss Whedon's about people cracking jokes and like.
Yeah, just
having
little
fun.
witty banter. But
So
like,
trying to combine those two.
but man,
is
Yeah.
the
a
theatrical
disaster.
version, it falls flat on Gal Gadot's boobs. Like,
the
Yeah.
flash, yeah, the like stuff like that. Yeah, it's like
That was like a huge problem on set. The flash falling on
Oh.
Gal Gadot's
yeah, 'cause-
boobs.
oh
Like-
yeah, Gal Gadot had some serious issues with Joss, along most of the
Yeah,
cast.
everyone
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone like they almost walked out.
He
on set.
threatened Gal Gadot over that scene
his
because she
career.
didn't want to do
it's
it.
like I can make you sound so stupid. So it's like, dude,
What an
are you
asshole.
saying?
Yeah.
It's like, and what's his face? Ben Affleck tried getting everyone to walk out on set. He was like, "Let's fuck this movie. We're not gonna do this because you're butchering the hell out of it." But most of the crew didn't, and which I understand. The crew's
They're just like,
probably
"Let's
like,
just finish this."
yeah,
We got bills
I just-
to pay.
I want to
And-
go home, man. Like, I don't want to spend another day here. I just
Yeah.
want to go home.
And Ben Affleck's like, well, I got a mansion, and I don't really care about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I think the Superman mustache fiasco
Oh, gosh.
was probably a big fuck you to Joss Whedon. Like,
oh, yeah.
Henry
like,
Cavill was
he,
like,
he could have
"Eh."
shaved it
No,
and
no,
taken
actually,
like
no, he couldn't have because under contractually, Paramount, because he was doing shooting Mission Impossible. 6.
yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, you just can't shave your mustache. They are
Okay.
actually kind of dicks about it. Like,
Yeah.
maybe they could have reshot his scenes, but they're like, oh, we're not spending any extra money to fix your fuck up. So you're gonna have to do something. And then like there's these behind the scenes photos of this like fucking mustache and these little black dots because they're gonna CGI. And it's weird. It looks like
Fuck
he's
Joss
like,
It
Whedon.
looks
All my homies hate it.
so bad. I'm sorry. It looks so stupid. Him with like the CGI lip.
yeah.
It's really funny
I
though.
mean, at that point, just like don't reshoot any of the scenes. Like
I
mean,
didn't
like,
watch
yeah,
the full theatrical cut
I mean-
because I didn't want to, but oh man,
Yeah.
Steppenwolf looks terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Woof.
It's a joke.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Poor Steppenwolf.
And then
He looks
got-
terrible. Steve Wolf looks terrible.
Stevie Wolf.
Like he looks so good in the new version too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a way step.
Dude,
up.
his suit is awesome. In
Yeah,
the-
I like his
Yeah,
armor.
in the
yeah.
Snyder
It makes
cut.
sense too, like the alien technology, and it actually is. It follows kind of continuity of remember like in the Batman vs Superman when Jesse Eisenberg was in the Kryptonian ship, like he was looking
Yeah.
at Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf had those scaly armors,
Yeah.
right?
He looks like that guy, and that's why when we watch the theatrical cut, and it's like this is Steppenwolf, and it's like who the fuck is?
Why does this
What?
look terrible?
Yeah, why does
Yeah.
he look nothing like the dude?
I think it
who's
was
in the
because it was
last
just
movie?
rushed, right?
No. It was
No,
because he's
it was a.
He looks like
They-
way more human too.
Yeah,
weirdly,
yeah.
he just looks like a big guy.
Doesn't look like an alien.
No,
He
because
just-
that's Whedon's like that's what he prefers,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also him and Ray, like not to get too much into the Ray Fisher thing, but yeah, him and Ray Fisher, the whole conflict between them, and yeah, that was real bad.
The biggest victims of the theatrical cut, and it's so much more evident when you watch Snyder's cut, is Flash and Cyborg. They get their introduction to the DC universe in the theatrical cut, and their storylines are completely butchered.
And-
you get nothing from them.
And they are the best parts of the Snyder
is-
cut, by the way.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, but like going back to Joss Whedon, it's so strange because usually he nails characters. Like he gets characters right and he makes you feel for them.
It felt
but
personal.
there was none of that in the theatrical cut. It was awful.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care about anyone.
Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
maybe he just didn't care.
I'll say the one thing that I kind of I guess like understand and struggle is that because there was a mandate to make this film like under 2 hours, so it was exactly like 1 hour 59 minutes. Because of like because that was one of the big criticisms of Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And what's it called? Kevin Tsujihara, the former CEO and AT&T, were like, and then we gotta have it by a certain time. We gotta have this on our new AT&T mobile phones.
Which
like,
which I believe is a fair criticism of Zack Snyder. Generally, is his movies do feel a little too long, a little too bloated and self-indulgent at times. So I understand like that knee-jerk reaction to be like, okay, let's pull back. Let's not have it be like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever. And then that's why it's so funny because when you watch the Snyder cut, it's like fucking over 4 hours.
4 hours and 1 minute.
Yeah, which is like
This is Snyder's fuck you to like Warner Brothers.
He's like, oh, you don't like long movies? Oh, you think it's a little too grim? How about I release the gray edition of this movie?
Yeah. Oh wait, real quick, I guess, what are your favorite moments from, I guess, what's it called? Let's go for both the theatrical cut and then the Snyder cut. Like, if there is any. Yeah. So let's go first to the theatrical cut. Is there anything you guys actually like from there? That's
I haven't
purely
watched
just
all
the theatrical cut. From what you've seen, yeah.
From what I've seen, nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. It's really
yeah.
funny looking. The color grading is weird.
I don't know. I will say that I appreciate like Superman being a little more bright and like optimistic, I guess, in the theatrical cut. I don't think it fits, but I think if I just had to cut out a single moment, I guess it's when he like kind of first returns and it's like, yay, Superman's here. I mean, there are definitely some follow-up criticisms to that because when he does show up, he just like shits on everybody. Yeah. But like, I appreciated him being a little bit more bright.
You didn't. It's like you love the part where he was like he said justice and then punched everyone. In the theatrical cut.
That's like unfortunately probably my favorite part of the movie.
Oh god,
it's not a good movie. I don't like it.
Yeah. I remember when we we watched it separately, but like one of your texts was like we were talking about it. It's like it's like a really good 2-hour Power Rangers film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it reminds of DC animated universe. It was bad. Like you kind of Phantom Menacing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jason? Is there anything?
I literally have nothing good to say about the theatrical cut. I watched it like 4 months ago, maybe. And I hated every moment of it. I genuinely, it might be, it's one of my least favorite movies of all time. Like I fucking hate that movie. Just all the like tonal shifts and none of the characters like feel like characters, like no one was fleshed out in any way. It just, and the threat sucked. Like I just hated it. I genuinely can't think of anything good to say about
Steppenwolf is just terrible all
Yeah.
around, but his
Yeah.
obsession with mother,
Yeah.
oh mother, and it's like, who's mother? Because there are the mother boxes that are around that they're trying to collect. I'm like, is he talking about the mother boxes generally, like as an abstract concept, mother? But it's like his motivations are cloudy at best. It's like, is he trying to do good by dark side? Is he just like really obsessed with the mother boxes particularly? I don't know.
He probably was like, he saw Batman v Superman. He was like, wow, you guys are really into Martha. He thought about his own mom. He's like, mother.
It's all about moms.
Yeah. Well, it's like, mommy problems.
MCU is all about dads. DCU is all about moms.
It is the Aquaman. The central conflict is him trying to find
Mommy.
his mommy. And
So
then,
you guys want to get into Snyder Cut?
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
let's kind of go into this. So what about Snyder Cut? Like, what do you think for the Snyder Cut that you were like, okay, this is the standout moment. This is what improved on this version over the theatrical. You're like, okay, wow. Like, I see where he was going with.
Cyborg and the Flash.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
great.
those are the obvious choices.
Snyder Cut and The Flash actually kind of steal the entire movie.
Snyder Cut and the Flash.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Cyborg and The Flash.
Snyder Cut is in the film.
Snyder Cut's my favorite character.
Cyborg and The Flash steal the entire movie.
Oh, totally. I think this kind of, I mean, if we're going to talk about the issues with the previous films, it's like you don't really get that much setup from Wonder Woman, Batman, or Superman. And then this movie shifts focus to Cyborg and the Flash, which I think is fine. It's like, if we're just talking about this movie alone, that's totally fine. Like introducing both these characters, you see their backstories, you see what kind of people they are and why they are this way. That's what you want.
Yeah. That's why I'm like okay with the length, like because like shit happens. Hey, you learn things about these characters and you get to understand them and you get to know them. So I'm fine with the 4-hour runtime. I could see why it would turn people off.
This is as long as The Irishman.
One other thing is like I don't understand why they brought Joss Whedon in for like. Hey, I guess they brought him in because like for the Avengers, and also he does comedy better. But I felt like the comedy in the Snyder Cut was fine.
Yeah,
like there were
if it's the tone of the film.
There were a ton of moments in the theatrical cut that like I thought, oh, this is Joss Whedon like doing his thing, but in actuality, it was Snyder. Like a lot of the Flash like comedic moments came from Snyder. It wasn't Joss Whedon that like shoehorned it in.
All of the best Flash moments,
Yeah.
like, his
From
comedic
Snyder.
moments were from Snyder. All the cringy moments, like where he falls face first onto Wonder Woman's boobs, and it's like, awkward, and it's like, wow.
that's all Whedon,
yeah.
right?
Or
That's
this
Whedon. That's Whedon.
Dostoevsky, the single. Remember when he
Yeah.
saved the family?
Oh, okay.
with the theatrical film?
I think that's where we can get into like, all right. So how they handle Superman in both films, very different. In the first film, Superman shows up and he immediately saves the day. He does everything. He just like he takes out Steppenwolf. He just immediately starts like he stops the whole threat. But in the Snyder Cut, Flash actually has a huge moment where he actually saves the world. Superman does show up.
That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, he stops Steppenwolf, but it's not enough. They still lose. That like Darkseid still shows up. It's like the world is still gonna end or whatever until Flash steps in and has probably my favorite moment in the whole DCU where he
runs the world back into existence.
Yeah,
like
he runs backwards in time. It's awesome visually. Like you see the reality kind of like ripping away from him, and as he's like using the Speed Force, it is really dope. Yeah. But in the Whedon version, Flash's only thing is he's trying to save this single family that's like in a truck, and he has to like save them, and he's like, cool, he saves these 4 people, and then just as a fuck you to the Flash, Superman flies by carrying an entire apartment building filled with people, as in like, ha, fuck you, Flash.
Why are you even here?
Yeah. The Flash, it makes Flash so useless.
I wanted to talk about the Flash and the Cyborg because they're my favorite parts of this movie. So I actually really liked the Snyder Cut, which was a huge surprise for me because I honestly, when last week we decided we were going to talk about Zack Snyder's entire filmography and we were going to talk about the Snyder Cut, I was like, fuck. I thought I was going to be miserable, but I actually, for the most part, really liked it. My only problems with it actually come from lack of preparation to this movie and a lot of it feeling premature. I really think that both The Flash and Cyborg should have had movies prior to this. I think we should, because, okay, Cyborg especially. So Cyborg is probably the best character in the movie. I think Zack Snyder even is on record saying that he's the heart of the film, which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
I think he should have had a movie prior, especially because, like, there's that one scene where we cut to him and we have his flashback sequence. They try to, like, fit his entire backstory into, like, a 5-minute flashback, and it just feels kind of jarring. Like, I don't know. I just really think that we should have had a movie to really flesh him out.
Well, absolutely. But, like...
And same thing with The Flash, because, okay, the only 2 characters that really get arcs in this movie are The Flash and the Cyborg. And they work, but I think they would have worked better if they had been more earned.
Yeah, but
like,
they did what they could.
They did what they
with.
could.
Yeah.
I understand this is a weird situation to be in, like, how they made this movie. I just think they both should have had movies prior.
It's hard for me to say because at least for Cyborg, like his journey to become like how we know the superhero we are is the heart of the film, right? So if you already had the film prior and had that journey on a prior film, I guess he would just be like another player, right? I think his origin is so integral with the mother box and and the nature of that and how.
Then maybe everyone else should have been fully set up so we could have focused on him. Because I actually had a take. I know you guys are like nerd historians, so you're going to tell me how wrong I am. Everyone's going to be upset with me for saying this. Cyborg's my favorite part of the movie. I think it could have been interesting to have him start out as like a side villain, maybe. Like he's like this angry teenager that suddenly has all this power, and they don't beat him, they convert him. Maybe they're like, hey man, calm down, you're on the wrong side of this. And then he comes to realize, yeah, I am. That could have been what made them team up.
They kind of go
They
for that
don't
just a little
really,
bit, yeah, where he's
though.
like, Wonder Woman tries to recruit him, and he's just like, "Fuck the world." You
Yeah,
know?
but I don't know. I think
yeah,
that
I
could have
get
been
what you're
fun.
saying.
I think that would have been a really interesting way to do it. Like he's this angry fucking character the whole movie, and his arc is to like see the good in people. I think it would have been really cool to make him like. No, I'm not saying he's a full blown villain, but I think he could have been interesting to start out as an antagonist and then build him into the team.
Young Justice season 3.
And one last thing, my biggest complaint for this whole movie is it all just feels very premature. This feels like a way too big of a threat to be what kicks off the first like Justice League movie. Steppenwolf, Darkseid, like there's like this prophetic shit is coming like full circle. Like there's like the flashback Lord of the Rings like sequence with Darkseid where he gets
Yeah.
attacked by not some guy, because I was corrected, that was Ares. I called him some guy, and one of my friends who was in the very room with us got pretty upset with me. I don't know, this all just feels like this should be happening on like the third Justice League movie, not the first one.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Maybe
I-
they could have used Lex Luthor for the first one. I don't
Well,
know.
that's the
wow.
problem with this
Like
whole
that.
DCEU. Is
was
that,
rushed.
like, yeah, they rushed the shit out of it, and there's a reason why it's not nearly as good as Marvel.
It feels so
like if they
premature.
took their fucking time, like fuck trying to catch up to Marvel, just do your own thing, like establish these characters properly, and like build up to it. But they didn't do it, and I think Zack Snyder.
Did the
He
best.
did what he
did,
could.
did the
Good.
best thing
Yeah.
he could have,
Yeah,
which
I
is
agree.
release a 4-hour movie
He
where
did
we
what he
actually
could.
got context.
He
to
did
these
what he
characters.
could, by the way. I don't want to say that I don't like it. This is actually probably one of my favorite movies by him now. I don't know. I think that it all feels very premature. Steppenwolf, Darkseid, world-ending shit, like all this like prophecy-like things happening. Like there's Wonder Woman in the cave, and she's like, there's like the drawing of Darkseid. It just feels like we've seen Thanos in the first movie now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, this film,
And-
if he realized his vision, would have came out in 2017 or like before Thanos in 2018.
Eh,
Yeah,
True.
To be fair,
I
Yeah.
feel like I mean I
No,
understand
that's not
with
what I'm saying.
with what Blake
Yeah.
is saying, because it does feel
Premature.
Like, Darkseid should be like he should be like the third or fourth main villain that the Justice League deals with. Not just because like trying to draw parallels between the MCU, but like just because the Darkseid is like a
villain.
universal threat. Like he's like a huge threat to the Justice League. He's like the guy who can like take them on and everything. But yeah, so like this probably should have been like I don't know, Brainiac or like there's tons of other DC villains that it could have been. I
You're
mean,
the
it-
nerd.
Yeah,
story.
or save Apocalypse for this. Apocalypse would have been fine, right? That's his
That's
name.
a
Oh, no,
that's
that's
Marvel.
Resurrection.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, what's his name?
Dumb
Doomsday.
idiot.
Doomsday.
Doomsday. Yeah, Doomsday.
Oh, no,
would have
Doomsday
been-
dumb
was in Batman
idiot.
v Superman.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
we should've
We
been
didn't
there.
even fucking talk about
Yeah,
that.
he should
But
not be
like,
in
I
there.
think Doomsday would have been
Superman,
a great
meet
villain for this.
I don't
You're
know.
Doomsday.
Doomsday is like a physical threat, but like he's definitely like kind of mindless, right? It's hard
Yeah,
to.
I think Doomsday is a good villain again, just for a solo Superman movie, just because like
He's so boring though.
Yeah, he is. That's the thing, though. It's like it has to be everything that's around Doomsday that's more interesting.
Yeah.
Because Doomsday is just a mindless villain that just wants to kill Superman, and like that's pretty much it. So like Superman has to be dealing with a bunch of other shit on the outside, but
They could do like a Spider-Man 2 thing where he's like dealing with some personal shit, and then also there's the villain. maybe.
yeah, it's like maybe mix in some All-Star Superman with some Superman Doomsday, something to like give him that push. But again, that's like not something that should happen until way later, because him ultimately killing Superman is a whole thing on its own. But like I don't know, as far as like Steppenwolf goes, I was really surprised at how much I liked him in the Snyder cut versus the theatrical cut. Because in the theatrical cut, like I said, he's obsessed with Mother, and that's like that's its own problem. But like in the Snyder cut, he's actually has some motivation. He wants to prove himself to Darkseid.
Yeah.
He's trying to colonize this world, which is like kind of a trope we've seen before. But he's actually more of a menacing threat. He does suffer from one of the issues I have with a lot of superhero films, which is like he's just kind of that big gray villain. He's just like he's just a giant gray silver dude, and that's like not the most, at least visually interesting concept, which is like a little surprising from Snyder.
His eyes look too cute. I'm not, and they're expressive. Jason
Yeah.
corrected
Yeah.
me on that.
Yeah,
but
they're
they also look like Care Bear eyes.
That's
It works. I know it works. And by the way,
Yeah.
it's not a
I
criticism.
think that's really all they had to work with,
Yeah.
though,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like
Yeah.
his eyes.
Yeah.
They look cute.
But I will give him credit that he did feel like a threat. He felt like someone who could take on most of the
He got
Justice
his
League.
ass kicked like in
yeah,
every
I
scene,
don't really
though.
agree with that. Like,
no. I mean,
this is my issue with like the villains of this movie. Like, they just felt underwhelming to me.
They
Both
shouldn't have
Steppenwolf
shown-
and
They shouldn't have
Darkseid.
shown that flashback of Darkseid getting beat,
Yes, I totally
Yeah.
believe.
where
Because like I
some
said-
guy hits him with an axe.
Yeah,
That was one of the worst parts of the movie.
Yeah, because like I said, Darkseid is this huge threat. That should have been Steppenwolf, which is one of the things the theatrical version I think gets right. Is Steppenwolf first came to Earth, he failed, and then this is like his second attempt to come back. I think that's what Steppenwolf should have been doing. Is like he's trying to redeem himself, being like, fuck, I didn't get this planet, 400 years ago, so I'm coming back to or like 2,000 years ago, whatever. So he's coming back to try and regain his honor.
Yeah,
which
and
is fine.
regain his
what's it called?
his standing with
Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Yeah,
He's kind of like a Kylo Ren light.
Yeah, what?
I don't know what you're talking about.
How do you mean? Well, explain that.
Just trying to regain his confidence, like a villain that's desperately trying to prove something to someone. Obviously, he's a lot less complex and he's way less interesting.
Kill it if you have to.
I'm not saying they're actually comparable. I'm just making kind
Yeah,
of a
that's
joke.
again. I think that's fair. I think that would have been interesting to see, Steppenwolf coming back from that or trying to redeem himself. Like a Darkseid again. He should be that far away threat. Like maybe just kind of menacing a bit in the background, which I think maybe they were just scared of drawing too much parallel from, Thanos, because they are kind of copies of each other. Although Darkseid was first,
Yeah.
but. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine because Darkseid is his own thing. He's very different, and you just have to highlight his differences.
Darkseid, for that sequence, I understand that. Like, I didn't bother me too much because, like, from what I understood is that, like, that happened, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of years in the past. And he was, according to, I guess, like, the writers and stuff, he's, like, baby Darkseid. Or,
Yeah.
like, younger Darkseid. Like, it's like his skin hasn't fully, like, basically, he hasn't developed into what we know now. I mean, from what I could tell, like, he didn't even use the Omega beams, right?
No.
In the flashback?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love the Omega
Oh, yeah,
beams
the
though.
Omega beams are great.
Omega beams is something I've always just wanted to see in the movies. Like his.
I don't even remember the Omega.
Yeah,
beams.
there's like
It's like-
an
it's like his-
anti-life equation.
Yeah, it's like his. Oh yeah, I think that's one of the issues even the Snyder Cut deals with is like they try to stuff a lot into this movie, like a lot, and that's why
really?
it is over
Yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah.
But like his Omega beams being those like laser beams he shoots out of his eyes that are like they go around angular and they chase and they hit people. Like that was pretty dope. I was excited to see that. But yeah.
All right, what do you guys think about? Okay, because one of the big things about this film that's pretty different from the theatrical cut is like one, it's in chapters, right? Like it's like
That was an
they're-
attempt at trying to organize something that couldn't be organized. The chapters literally don't matter.
Yeah.
They really don't. They have no actual
Yeah,
structure.
I mean, to be fair, I think that it kind of gives like an audience like a nice like idea of like where they are in the story and the breaks and stuff like that.
I mean, it's
I-
like I just don't.
I get
think,
it. They didn't need it.
I think it's an attempt at making it look like this movie is more structured than it's not. Just own it. It's a mess. Whatever. It's a mess that's pretty good.
I actually like the chapters. It's a visual reminder of like, okay, so this is where it is. It's like these are the many parts.
Yeah,
I understand
if you
because-
want to watch the movie in chunks,
That's a good way
Yeah.
to do it.
yeah,
it's
it's
also
a good
like-
it's a good reference point.
Yeah.
But
It
really, they
almost-
don't mean anything.
I think if a movie's over 3.5 hours long, it's a miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were planning on
Yeah.
releasing it in episodes, right? Which I would have been fine with, like
Yeah.
4 hours or an hour an episode.
I
would've
think
been
Zack
fine.
Snyder wanted it to be a movie, so
yeah. Let's see.
it's good.
I think
It's
either way would've been
surprisingly
okay.
really good. I can't
Yeah.
believe that
It's-
I liked it as much.
Yeah,
as
Yeah,
I know.
it's better than I thought it was going to be.
I
but
thought I was gonna
still
hate
have
it.
a lot of issues.
Yeah,
with
like I'm nitpicking here, but overall, I really dug it.
Oh, I got like 15 million nitpicks, but I'll get to those.
And then the other big thing that I guess people are somewhat controversial, I guess, is the aspect ratio. Yeah, what-
It's weird. It's a weird choice. I'm like, Zach, this is a movie about a guy that dresses like a bat. It's not an art film.
it. Yeah, it threw me off.
Yeah, I got used to it.
But yeah, after
Yeah.
the first like 10, 15
isn't The
minutes,
Lighthouse.
I didn't have a problem with it.
And then the main reason they're doing this is because they film this entirely in IMAX cameras, right?
Yeah.
And then IMAX screens are usually more vertical than most theaters, and as a result, and I think it fits better, right? Like one of the things, as much as I enjoy watching Endgame, I don't know how much other people do in this.
I like Endgame. I don't give a fuck.
Endgame is great.
Okay, well, before we get
We'll
into
get to
a 3-hour discussion into that,
Endgame sucks.
one of the things I didn't like about Endgame is that in the final battle is that like they actually choose the other way around. Like they usually try to make it as wide as possible, right? And then when the everybody comes into the screen, they actually look kind of small. You know what I mean? Like they actually look a little bit squished, right? They don't look like the larger than life godlike Greek figures that these superheroes are essentially meant to be.
Yeah.
And then because of like the aspect ratio and the way it is, if you have a really big TV and stuff like that, I mean, what's called my friend Uriel, who's in the CRT, he somehow jerry rigged and watching the Snyder cut on a CRT and then vertically. So actually the entire time is vertical. But these everybody looks larger than life. Everybody like fills the entire screen. They look tall. They look like strong. They look powerful, which is great. I think that's cool. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about it? Do you think overall it was a benefit to shoot it this way? Do you prefer more superhero films to kind of have this aspect ratio, or no?
I'm mostly indifferent.
I wish I had watched it in IMAX on the big screen. Like,
I agree.
Because then like it just wouldn't have been as much of an issue. But like watching it, like I watch movies on my monitor at home, and it was a little underwhelming. But again, I said after like 15-20 minutes, like I stopped the movie and I googled like Snyder cut aspect ratio, and then like it was just that the whole movie. I'm like, okay, I'll deal with it, and I dealt with it, and it was fine.
Yeah,
Well, the opening shot is like we shot it in this aspect, or we kept this aspect ratio to respect his vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, his vision was for it to be on an IMAX screen, right?
Personally, I thought it was fine. I think the larger aspect ratio is okay. I think it's usually better for superhero films, in my opinion. I think they're like, as long as they fill the screen, as long as they're like these, like I said, like larger than life characters. I kind of see maybe why he wanted to do. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, honestly, but I thought it was cool. I didn't love it. Yeah, I kind of like I felt like we were missing a little bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's actually more visual information here, right, than on normal aspect ratio.
Is it really? I mean, we're cutting off like.
Well, I mean, we're not actually. The thing is, just if you try to make it by 16:9 aspect ratio or the classic one, you would actually be cutting off the tops and bottoms. But essentially, he's like basically, he's putting it in the condensing an image where left and right bars are black, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily 4:3. It's like his own. I forgot these exact specifications, but there's technically more visual information on top and bottom of the screen.
I respect the choice. Like, I think again, it's ballsy to like decide to shoot a film, release it in that way, and I don't know if Warner Brothers would have let him do it. I mean, maybe now because they were kind of like kind of his bitch. But I mean, after like The Lighthouse did it, I mean, obviously they're not the first movie to do that.
Yeah.
But like after they did it, I think they probably felt more comfortable trying that out, because they're like, yeah, fuck it, it's gonna be on HBO Max. Who gives a shit?
But The Lighthouse is a little different. Like that one's actually that one's actually is condensing the image. Yeah, and then like having it within that aspect ratio. But this one is like enlarging it, but it's too much for normal screens.
It felt weird for about 10 minutes, and I was mostly just like, this is a weird choice for a superhero movie, but I kind of just forgot about it.
Yeah, and nothing, everything felt right.
It didn't ruin.
I didn't get the sense that it was supposed to be in widescreen. All the shots, they worked.
Our good friend Matt said that he took that as he thought Zack Snyder thought he was making an art house film.
It felt a bit more comic booky. Like it almost felt like it's it's comic book panels.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah. It's fine. It works.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
I think it was. It would have been kind of interesting maybe if they had like they do in comic book panels where characters sometimes jump out of the panel ratio and they have the art kind of slip out into those voided spaces. I think that would have been dope, especially with a character like the Flash, because he's so to see his his speed force, the electricity stuff. Which, by the way, I love the Flash. I love the way that they portrayed him. I love the speed force and everything visually done so well. Especially the final sequence. I may be jumping the gun, but like
No,
was
no,
my
that
favorite
is-
part. for
I
sure.
agree, but he looked a little goofy when he was running.
I get it, but from what I could tell, this is like basically Flash's year 0, right? He's still
Yeah.
like kind of figuring it out. He's still
Yeah.
just
He's still already the Flash,
yeah.
though.
He's kind of just pushing people. Like, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, he doesn't even want to like punch somebody.
Yeah.
Just shoving them out of the way.
I mean, and then like what's it called? And then like he still hasn't met Iris. Well, except in the beginning of this film, he hasn't met Iris yet until like the weird little creepy sequence
With
It's
the
like-
hot dog.
Yeah.
The hot dog sequence.
That was one of the best sequences in the movie.
Yeah,
I
was
really
funny.
enjoyed
I
it.
like it.
That was
like
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, it's like the face and stuff like that.
I think.
He's like eating a hot dog, or he pulls a hot dog out. Like, hey, it was fun.
I mean, X-Men: Days of Future Past probably did the best like speedster sequence.
Yeah.
And like that we're gonna get with like Quicksilver running around and everything. That was so fun, and we'd never seen anything really like it up to that point.
I would say that the one that your favorite sequence in the film at the end,
Yeah.
I actually prefer that over the X-Men. Even though I really like the X-Men, don't get me wrong, that was the best.
Bold take.
Yeah, I know it is. But it's like, but because I think like there was a lot of like that was at the same time they were basically at the same time it was the highlight of his arc, right? It's the apex of his arc.
Yeah.
Where like the whole thing is like he didn't know whether he was worth.
He's talking his
I
arc
do.
out loud.
Yeah, that's a little rough
Both,
for me. Is
I-
he's
like I
like,
said-
I am worthy, or whatever the fuck he was saying.
So
like,
the Flash and Cyborg have the best arcs in this movie, but they do that Christopher Nolan thing where they're literally talking out their arcs. Like the
Yeah.
Flash is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you got to make your own timeline to
Yeah.
live in, and then it cuts to the Cyborg, and Cyborg's like, I am worth something, and this world is worth saving.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like,
oh
I'm
man.
not broken.
And then Superman's like, I am strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Americans are dumb, so like they can't.
Yeah.
they don't understand subtlety.
It did feel like a bit pandering.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well,
Yeah. But it wasn't enough to really pull me. out
But
of
still,
the movie.
everything that was going on in that scene, like, was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, so I can forgive it. I just wish he wasn't speaking, and I wish he didn't look so
Yeah.
goofy running.
He was
but,
making his own timeline.
Literally sprinting the world back into existence is fucking awesome.
Alright.
That was really cool.
All right. Overall, like obviously we have a lot of like talks about this, and we're pretty heated about discussion. What are your overall final opinions about the film? Do you think they should do #restore the Snyderverse?
Oh,
would
we
you
should
guys-
talk about. We should. Okay. Can I take the panel for just a
Yeah,
second?
yeah. Go on.
I like it a lot. I really like this movie. I want to say one last comment before I get into my next point, though. Weirdly, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are those boring parts. I think that, like I said, Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller really just steal the whole movie. Maybe they should maybe they should get their own movie.
They are.
What
Yeah.
you're saying?
Well, no, not.
I was-
Cyborg.
Batman sucked in this movie. No one's talking about that.
We'll get to Batman. I was watching this movie, and like that last shot where they're standing on top of the nuclear thing, I was like, man, you know what? I've been so against the DCU like for the past 5 or 6 years, but I'm like, if they offered Zack Snyder to do another one, I'd probably watch it. And then there were 3 post-credit like scenes in a row, all of which sucked. So there's the Lex Luthor one, who, by the way, I didn't bring this up. Lex Luthor's only bald because they shave his head in prison, and I guess he just decides that he likes it. Whatever. Comic book movies are weird about baldness. It's like when Professor X gets bald because of Apocalypse. Off topic. So there's the Lex Luthor scene, which is just kind of weird. Deathstroke shows up and is like, I fucking hate Batman. And Lex Luthor's like, his name is Bruce Wayne. And then there's the one I hate. The fucking stupid, dumb, apocalyptic future stuff. And I gotta be honest, man. I don't like Jared Leto as the Joker. He's just awful. And like, I swear to God, that scene goes on for like 15 minutes.
We
And
live in a
Batman,
society.
Batman's whole thing. Like, he's like,
I'm gonna fucking kill
yeah,
you.
no, it's the whole, I promise, Lois Lane, that when I kill you, and believe me, I will fucking kill you. And I'm just like, I hate everything about this. Batman's wearing his stupid fucking trench coat and his bat suit. Oh, man.
I will say that this movie is the most Snyder movie ever. Like, it goes on for super long. There's a ton of
He
slow
dropped all
motion
the God
sequences.
stuff.
Oh, he did.
Thank God, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's like definitely a strength.
No
is
one's
that-
arguing on CNN about Steppenwolf. Like, thank God, man.
Yeah, no, that's great. But like the slow motion sequences, there's definitely things I would
There's a
have
lot.
cut out of this movie. Like, you know,
Jason Momoa walking into the water for like 7 hours.
just walking to the water while the
And then they're like
Scandinavians-
singing about him, like
Yeah.
fuck off.
Yeah.
Like
I was like, can we just cut away? Like this really isn't
Was
necessary.
she like smell?
it was like a 3-minute
jacket?
song.
Yeah, they liked him. They're like, hey, he's our hero. We
She's like
appreciate
smelling
him.
his jacket, right? And they're like singing. It's very weird.
Oh.
Jason Momoa doesn't do anything in this movie. I honestly forgot he was in it
No, he stabbed
for a
Steppenwolf.
while.
Yeah, I honestly, that's one of the things I liked about Jason Momoa's Aquaman in the Joss Whedon thing. The things I've quoted, at least, is the "all right." That's my favorite quote from
Oh.
Aquaman.
Oh, sorry. I'll get to this when I
yeah.
have my nitpicks. I was gonna say something about him, but
I love bro Aquaman. I've liked comic book Aquaman where he's like the king of Atlantis and he's like got this weight on his shoulders. Whatever, that's cool. I'm totally fine with that, and I do think they try to overcompensate with Aquaman where they try to make him like
the toughest dude ever.
yeah, they're like, you know, and that's like 90s Aquaman where they cut off his hand and he's got the beard and the long hair and he's all badass and now he's all tatted up and it's like that's whatever, that's fine, but like I kind of dug this because they went all the way with it where he's bro Aquaman, which was cool.
Like Aquaman is like the fucking nerd of the group, right? And like they realized, oh shit, Aquaman sucks. We have to make him as cool as we can possibly make him.
When they first showed
and they
images, I was like,
succeeded.
oh,
Aquaman's fucking cool.
He's all right.
He's just
No,
He doesn't do anything. I forgot he was in the movie. He disappears for like an hour and then
but like he's fucking ripped and like he's Jason Momoa and he's like drinking fucking Jack Daniels. Like
He chucks it in the ocean.
Yeah.
You're like, "Ugh."
what asshole? He's
And-
littering in the ocean. Think about the turtles, Aquaman. You of all people should care.
What about the turtles? I liked his whole thing. I liked the moment. Probably one of my favorite moments in the movie is when they're digging up Superman's body, and there's two little scenes of Aquaman talking to Wonder Woman. They're having a heart-to-heart. They're like, hey, I'm Atlantean. You're Themysciran. Our people have a history. You know, we kind of have this like weird connection, and they're just like having this little moment, and then at the same time, Cyborg and Flash are having their moment.
Oh,
where they're
I
just
love
talking.
that.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah, Cyborg was actually supposed to be in the Flash film. You know?
Oh,
it was
yeah,
also, it was
yeah.
like a buddy thing, but you know, because Ray Fisher.
nah.
Like, not his fault, but like,
I still
No,
think
no, no,
They
it's
should
not
totally
zero.
do that. Put them in there. I think they have a great dynamic. I would love to see that.
Ray Fisher seems like a real cool guy in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
real life. Too.
Yeah.
Hey, it sucks that he's in this position, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's sad.
Studio fucked him.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
he's like banned.
Joss
I
Whedon
think he'll have
fucked
a
him.
hard time getting a job, at least for.
That
Warner
sucks.
Brothers.
Is he
Yeah.
coming back as Cyborg?
No, he's not. He's out.
I
No, he doesn't want out. They just like all he said this.
so they're just like severing all their fucking ties. Like
Well, like Ben Affleck's
Fuck
like
these people.
not coming back. I don't think. I
No,
think he's coming back for
no.
the Flash, but I don't think
No,
he's
he might
gonna
actually
like.
come back. There's rumors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's rumors of like the continuing on that. character.
Personally, I think okay. So I think if we're gonna go into our final thoughts about
Yeah.
this movie, I enjoyed it overall. Like I actually really liked it, but this should be the end of Snyder in the DC universe. I think he should go out on a high note because if anything that like Blake said, those post-credits scene showed, he just shouldn't be doing it. Like
Yeah.
that like 5-10 minute monologue between Joker and Batman that just drags on. It's like if any indication of what he wants to do, don't do that. Stop it. Stop
I
it.
think again that was a fuck you to Warner Brothers. Like I think he's because that was one of the only scenes he like reshot, right?
No,
like,
that he reshoot. He added that in.
yeah, he added
he,
it.
He just like was like, oh, it would be cool if they talk. And that's
Yeah,
it.
but like I think he was saying this is what we were gonna go towards, and now we're not getting it. Fuck you, which is
The
fine.
Joker's telling Batman he's gonna give him a reach around.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Reach around. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Who else would give you a reach around? Dude, Joker talks for like 5 minutes straight. It's so miserable.
Yeah,
their
dude.
whole back and forth. It was just.
And believe me, I will fucking kill you.
I actually don't love Jared Leto as
I
an
don't
actor.
like Batman's voice modulator thing. Why do they keep fucking up Batman's voice every goddamn movie? Just have him speak. It's fine.
No,
Yeah.
I think
Kevin
that's
Conroy
okay.
was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like he
okay.
does it right.
Yeah. Okay.
When he speaks as Bruce Wayne, I'm sorry to interrupt
Oh, no,
you,
go on.
but like when Kevin Conroy does Bruce Wayne Batman, he's like, hey, like he's kind of like a lighter inflection. He's like, all right, like this is just normal voice. He's clearly putting on as Bruce Wayne. He's like trying to be the lighter version of himself. And then when he speaks as Batman, it's like his true self. It's like all this weight and everything that comes.
It's
on
also
with being
commanding
Batman.
without being fucking annoying.
Yeah. He doesn't need the modulator. He doesn't need that that
Roughness.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
You feel all of the weight that comes on being Batman. You know, it's already there. It's present.
Martian Manhunter just shows up and goes, sorry, I saw this
Oh
one.
god,
no.
that's the worst part of the movie is
The Martha scene. It's
Yeah,
weird.
she turns into Martian Manhunter.
For some reason.
I'm totally fine with them introducing Martian Manhunter. I thought it was a okay introduction.
But
But why is he having a heart to heart with Lois Lane?
Yeah.
She's the key to all this.
That doesn't make any sense.
Like Jar
And
Jar Binks.
Also, he just looked terrible. Like he looked
Yeah,
terrible.
he looked awful.
He was the worst part of the Snyder cut. Like he looked terrible. Which Martian Manhunter is one of my favorite characters, so I was super psyched to see him in it.
I don't know
was
anything
like,
about him.
He looks bad.
Yeah, he's the best. Yeah, what's it called? He's basically a character that is he's he came from Mars. Some origins where he's the last member of his race, and he's basically like Superman level. He's intangible. He could shapeshift. He has super strength. Yeah, he's basically immortal unless you
Telepathic.
fire.
Bunch
He's
of dumb
telepathic.
nerd shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about you, Jason? What's your kind of final thoughts about this? Do you think they should restore the Snyderverse? Like, Ron's like, nah, let's end this shit. But
No, especially because I know the direction that Snyder wanted to go with it, like that post-apocalyptic, like Superman's evil kind of thing. I just don't really care to see that movie. I didn't care to see it in these movies, but I respect the Snyder cut because what I said at the beginning of our entire discussion of Zack Snyder is he will fight tooth and nail to get his vision on screen, and he did just that. And so I can't really fault it. I obviously have issues with it, but he, at the end of the day, won, and he got the movie that he wanted to make. So happy for him. Good job.
oh, that's cool. Do you guys know that? I was telling Ron about it. Did you guys know that in one of his future plans, Justice League 2 or 3, that he was gonna have Clark and Lois' son be the next Batman?
Ugh.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's
Weird.
crazy. Yeah, it was his plan. So Batman dies in like Justice League 2 or whatever, and after they defeat Darkseid, they find out that their son doesn't have any powers, right? And then they take him,
What a
Bruce
loser.
Kent, because they call him Bruce. Because they take Bruce Kent to the Batcave, and it's like, this is the man you're named after, and blah blah blah. And he saved us. He allowed you to be born because he saved
Maybe
us.
it
Does
would've
he-
worked
I
better
think
in
Zack Snyder
concept.
just hates Robins. Like,
No, I know that. Why couldn't just Robin be Batman? But whatever.
Yeah, where's Dick Grayson? Where's fucking Tim? Oh my god, I can't think. Tim
Drake.
Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Damian Wayne. There's
Yeah.
plenty of Robins you could have
Exactly.
pulled from, not some Bruce Kent.
Kent.
Who the
Hey,
fuck
Bruce
is that?
Kent. Bruce Kent is being the next
Bruce
Batman.
Kent?
Yeah.
Oy.
Oh, it would be crazy. All right. What about you, Blake? What's your final thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I'm surprised I liked it as much as I do. I'm not really down unless both Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller are going forward. I don't really care about it if not. Those are the two characters that really made me care. I thought their dynamic was great. I thought both brought a lot to the table. I thought they were both fun characters. And I'm sorry, as much as I like Ben Affleck, I don't care about his Batman. I don't care about Superman. Wonder Woman's, her first movie was good. I never saw the second one. I just don't care about it going forward unless those two characters are involved. So not really. I do have a list of nitpicks I want to say really quick.
Read them away.
Sorry, nitpick power hour. These are all really dumb and they're not real criticisms, but I find them funny.
Strap on and strap in.
Batman's I'm Rich joke was actually pretty fun. That's not a nitpick. That's just me saying that. Wonder Woman's theme music was really out of place. I almost forgot Aquaman was in this movie. There is no us without him, implying that they've ever been a team before this when they're talking about Superman. The Superman fight goes on for way too long. The Flash segment was pretty cool, though. Batman and Superman are really boring. I understand it's a joke, but did Batman actually have to buy the entire bank? He couldn't just buy the fucking house?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it's capitalism, right? His Ayn Rand.
He couldn't just buy the fucking
He's
house?
he's trying to expand his business, right? Buying more.
He's
banks,
like,
buying
why
more
would he do
towards the
that?
Alfred, there's a real opportunity here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, freaking what's it
If I-
called? Discovery bought Warner Media.
Is he gonna
Like,
hold that
seriously.
over Superman for the rest of his life?
Yeah, absolutely. If I buy Wells Fargo, then I don't have to worry about this house anymore, and I can help bail tons of people out of debt.
Those are
So
my nitpicks.
and then for me, kind of my overall final opinion is for this Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm kind of back and forth with it. I watched it twice. I watched the just regular Zack Snyder version is called, and then I watched the Justice is Gray, and that was like his preferred version.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then in a way like that, the black and white actually kind of makes like some of the scenes like make sense. Like the Icelandic people, Aquaman, I wanna sire your children, come inside me and make Icelandic babies. Like that scene, like it worked. It made more sense in the black and white version. Like it kind of fit the depressive tone.
How the fuck does that make worse?
No. I mean, because basically the tone. I mean, they didn't actually sing that. I don't know.
Sorry, can I butt in really quick?
Yeah.
There's no like huge thematic thing going on in this movie. That's kind of one of the. I mean, it's a positive because
Well-
thank God.
Well, the big thing
Well, I
is
mean,
like
just coming
them
together.
uniting.
Yeah, but
that's
I
the
mean,
big thing.
yeah, it's
There-
a super
and
selfless-
that
yeah.
really didn't work for me.
Zack Snyder's not
but
trying to
it's
tell
fine.
some fucking convoluted God allegory, which is
And I think that's fine
Great.
again because Snyder's not really particularly good at that. Like,
He's
we
not.
discussed that.
We have to unite. Like they haven't fought us united. Like all right.
they haven't. You
no
guys
one's
haven't
fought any of
any-
you united. Like
You guys haven't fought united.
Yeah.
This movie feels premature. but I
Okay,
like it.
sorry.
Sorry, Philip.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry to derail you.
What's it called? Yeah, and that's pretty much it. But after watching the Justice is Gray and kind of like comparing the two, it's honestly in a weird way. I think as much as I like the Avengers, I don't think it's a better film than the Avengers. I think it is. But I will probably watch this film more because of how weird and wacky it is, and it's pretty like unique within the realm of the superhero film genre and stuff like that. And there's some things that they introduced that I kind of almost wish every larger than life superhero like introduced, like the aspect ratio. I actually think like the next Avengers film, like obviously they could retrofit with the option to do 16:9 widescreen. Like I want them to do that for that film, and so overall I liked it. I really did. I think it's kudos to him. But then I thought I'm so excited for Army of the Dead. I'm pretty sure that was going to be a great film. I watched that fuck yeah.
Man.
And we will talk about that soon. But right now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Oh, welcome back to Have a Clue. Unfortunately, Philip had to leave, but I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest, because unfortunately, we're talking about Daddy Zach's newest film endeavor, Army of the Dead.
Oh boy.
Ronald.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Ronald. Did you like this movie?
Fuck no.
Jason?
Jason.
Mr.
would-
Jason,
yeah,
did you
would
like this movie?
do it.
No.
By the way, I want to kind of disclose my watching order because I feel like it was really weird. So I watched the Snyder Cut first, going in expecting to hate it. And I really liked it. Then I was like, you know what? Maybe I was being too harsh on Batman vs. Superman back in 2016. Nope, absolutely wrong. It's fucking awful. But I was like, Army of the Dead. First I was like, Zack Snyder, zombies, apocalypse, But then I found out it's like a heist movie that takes place in Las Vegas that coincidentally takes place during a zombie outbreak. And I was like,
That
okay.
sounds interesting.
Okay. I was like, that could actually be pretty fun. So I went into this with pretty high hopes, and like within the first 45 seconds, I was like, fuck.
I'm gonna say I came in with very similar hopes. I'd watched the Snyder Cut. I'd been on a bit of a Snyder binge. I was like, all right, like
I think
I'm
we
like,
all have.
yeah, I've got a newfound love for Snyder. Like, I mean, well, I've always I'd appreciated him, but I'm like, man, I have the whole new level of appreciation for this guy. I'd love to see what he can do with this. Yeah, like the movie started off, and I'll say the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I was pretty hyped.
I disagree.
The intro, I liked the intro.
I loved the title card sequence. Don't
Oh,
get me wrong.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like the best part of the movie.
Absolutely.
But the actual opening scene, like me and Jason were watching this last night, by the way. I almost was like, fuck it, let's just not include it. I can't do this. The opening scene is so like weird and
Yeah,
misguided.
you asked. You're like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you want to like go to bed? And I was just like, no, we have to watch it.
The opening
and we watched
scene
it.
is like this weird. First of all, there's like 50 cuts within the first like scene of like people getting into a car and driving off. It's very awkward and like disorienting.
Okay, real quick, something that probably ties into that is they shot this all natural.
Oh.
So like that opening sequence took 5 weeks to shoot.
Oh my god.
So
But
like
why?
because like it's at a very specific time of day where
I'm
the sun is
saying,
going down.
But why should it natural?
Okay.
What's
so
the
here,
fucking purpose?
So here's the big thing.
Is
about
the whole
this.
movie shot that way?
Okay, so here's
A
the big
lot
thing
of it
about
is.
this movie is that Larry Fong, who is like Snyder's usual go-to cinematographer, he's the guy who had done all of his like major films, except for the Snyder Cut, ironically enough. Like that, I think probably, being his big comeback. He did this one completely on his own. He wrote it, directed it, and shot it himself as the DP. And I think it exemplifies all of his weaknesses, and it really took away all of his strengths. Outside of that opening sequence, which again is really fun, I got a lot of Zombieland vibes from it. Like
Talking about the title card sequence.
yeah, the title card sequence where it's like, okay, you get like a little intro to all the characters, like they're kind of like in these little portraits.
Characters is a big word.
Well, I mean, you set them up. It's like, okay, you get a little title card where it says like, all right, this guy is a philosophy major. This guy, is an ex-military dude, and you get to like little fun parts. It's definitely the most emotional part. Like you get introduced to Batista's character. You get a little slow motion intro into like what
What's Batista's
they were
first
doing.
name?
I don't remember.
Sorry,
he's got a
I
first name.
we could get back to the title card, but
Yeah.
I really love that. I love like showing them like just brutally murdering zombies, and then
Yeah.
the still like photos of them like what they were previously.
Yeah.
It set up the characters pretty well.
It's pretty cool.
Unfortunately, it didn't do much with any of that.
It doesn't go
but
anywhere.
That title sequence really worked for me.
Yeah, I was actually kind of like, because I hated the opening scene, the fucking zombie. And we're gonna talk about that next because I have to. I hated that, and I was like, oh god. But then the title card sequence happened, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm feeling this. It's pretty fun. It's pretty like it's fun, kind of comedic until it isn't. You know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
like what's Batista? He has a first name. What's his fucking first name?
Dave, it's Dave.
Dave
Is it
Bautista.
really Dave?
No,
Dave? What's his dude? How can we forget this guy's name?
I don't know anyone's name in this movie. I don't remember any of them, and I watched it like 3 hours ago. His name's Scott Ward.
Scott Ward. So Scott Ward. Like it's fun until his tragedy. And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh fuck. And then it just gets super dark. And I was like, okay, I like it. But back to the opening scene, this feels counterproductive. I think the title card sequence should have been the opening. Fuck it. There's a zombie outbreak. Because the way they make it happen is just kind of ridiculous to me. It's the whole... So, for context, the scene is... There's two military guys that are driving down a road, and they're having a kind of comedic conversation about... What were they talking about? Something stupid as
Okay,
fuck.
so basically they're in a caravan leaving Area 51, and they're carrying some kind of package,
Yeah.
right?
And they're calling it the holy grail of, like, the worst things that could be transported.
Yeah, they're all joking
like,
around.
is it this?
Could be aliens, could be that. Like, bro, I'm not gonna say aliens. And it's like, I don't know. I thought it was fine enough.
I just found it so like it's like a weird attempt at humor because then then there's another car coming on the opposite road.
Yeah,
which is
the
a
zombie
newly-
apocalypse starts because some dude got a blowjob.
Yeah, so there's a newlywed couple that's driving down the opposite of the road,
leaving Vegas.
leaving Vegas because they just got married, and the driver is getting a blowjob, so he's not paying attention. So you have these two army guys that are caught up in their own conversation, and a guy getting a blowjob. No one's looking at the road, and they run into each other, causing a zombie outbreak because they're carrying.
They're
like,
carrying
these-
the one zombie.
the one zombie.
Roadhead worse than drinking while driving. I think.
Yeah,
So-
especially if you're not gonna look at the road while you're getting road at.
So,
the dude
I
was
don't
like,
know.
like staring
don't
up
like-
into the fucking ceiling of the car. Like, come on, dude. Like, at least
Uh,
you're driving a
reason-
car.
The reason this doesn't work for me though is just because it's this weird attempt at like comedic and then like kind of serious when like the crazy zombies come out. But then the title card sequence is comedic and fun, and then serious. It's just a weaker version of what they end up doing. It's just very odd to me. I don't know. I hated it.
This film has a real tone problem.
Yeah, there is no tone to this movie.
I think it's like, again, it's very comparable more to Zombieland than Dawn of the Dead, where it's like they have the funny moments where it's like you're dealing with zombies and you're killing them, and it's like, hey, look, that one's dressed like Elvis, and the other one looks like a showgirl, like classic Vegas stuff, which is fine. And I thought that's where the movie was going. I mean, from the poster and the trailer, you get this like brightly colored, like fun Vegas zombie,
which would have
movie.
Worked. I think it would have been a
great.
fun, colorful, ridiculous, but if you're gonna be ridiculous, be ridiculous. I want to see zombies playing blackjack. Like, fuck it, dude.
So part of this movie is like they're assembling a group of individuals to go and do a heist in this zombie infested area. So it's a bunch of characters. It's very character driven because you have to follow all these characters going through. The problem is all the characters are awful, which I think like it goes full circle because Dawn of the Dead was written by James Gunn. James Gunn is
the exemplary.
Master. Yeah, he loves like characters. He makes them fun and interesting, and he could have done wonders with this script.
Yeah. Can I talk about that for a second? Because as I said at the beginning of this episode, I fucking love Dawn of the Dead. It's my favorite Zack Snyder film. And, like, there's a lot of nostalgia there for me. Like, I've watched it probably 20 times in my life. And going into this is probably my fault, but I didn't watch a trailer for this. I knew very little about it going into.
That would have made it worse, I think.
And I was like, okay, he's making another Of the Dead movie. I'm fucking stoked because it's not a stupid DC movie. And then, like, this hasn't... It's not even like a spiritual successor to Dawn of the Dead. It is so far and beyond what that movie did, and it just sucked. Like, it made me upset because Dawn of the Dead, as I said, it's his tightest movie, it's his best movie, and it had a lot of things going for it that I really enjoyed, and I was excited for this, and probably 20 minutes in, I realized this is not what I wanted it to be, and I was upset from then on out.
I think it's fair to say that this is Zack Snyder taking on way too much for this film.
It's a 2.5 hour zombie movie.
Yeah.
Like, who does that?
Yeah, and I think there's a thing for zombie like epics. Like, I think Walking Dead is probably the best example. Season 1. I'm talking season 1.
Even then.
Nah. Oh, okay. Well, I think we disagree there because I think Walking Dead is a great example of like characters living in a prolonged zombie world, right? There's plenty of stuff you can like, there's plenty of story you can milk from that.
Am I right?
But I think that with this movie, it's like him doing the script, and I think this goes back to like Sucker Punch, which we didn't touch on too much, but that's a movie that he wrote and he was very passionate about, but he didn't shoot it. He didn't actually he wasn't the DP behind that. In this film, for some reason, they chose the entire film to do it in like this shallow focus. And for those who don't know shallow focus, it's where basically the focus is only focused on a very small portion of the screen, which can be very cinematic. It can be very artistic for certain moments. But I'm not kidding. Like 85% of this movie is in shallow focus.
It was kind of disorienting.
And it's
completely,
like, it got to the point, like, I wrote this in my notes, but, like, there's so many scenes where, like, the subject of the shot is out of focus, and there's something just random and stupid, like, in focus. Yeah. And I don't understand why he would do that.
Well, it doesn't make any
sense.
Okay, so this is kind of an overall criticism for Zack Snyder. His biggest problem, I've talked about it like 5 times already. He likes creating his aesthetic. He's very cinematic. But things like this, which can be very cinematic in certain scenes, he overdoes them and he doesn't know when to put them and when not to. It's like every fucking scene in a Zack Snyder movie is this incredible, grandiose moment. But To quote Syndrome from Incredibles, if everybody's super, nobody is. So if everything is super cinematic, none of it is.
Yeah,
and that's what the shallow focus thing. It's actually disorienting in certain
Yeah,
points.
it's
What am I looking at?
This is by far his ugliest film. The colors are off. Like none of the film, like outside of the opening sequence, really feels, like it doesn't. I think a lot of it was shot running gun, and you can see it because like they're just like, it's all handheld. It's all again that shallow focus, which is very hard to like to utilize correctly, and it's just not utilized at all correctly here. Yeah, I don't know. If we had to say, do you guys have any favorite moments from this movie? Any moments that you liked? If we can turn in any positive.
I mean, we've said it. The opening title sequence.
I thought that Dave Bautista's scene, well, like it's like a big flashback scene where he has to mercy kill his wife because she's now a zombie. I thought he actually really sold that. Like that was like the only character moment in the whole movie. I think he really fucking sells that. But it comes with a criticism. I thought there was going to be more to it. I assumed because the daughter's like she fucking hates him. It's like this broken relationship. I just had this assumption. I was like, okay, there's more to this. He's to blame for this for some reason. Like he brought the zombie virus home.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be
seriously.
more.
Yeah, but there really isn't, and it's just kind of shallow. But that is a great moment, and it is a standout moment. And I like Dave Bautista generally in this movie.
I like Dave Bautista. He's a good actor, but I don't think he was good in this.
Yeah,
Outside of
I
maybe
agree
that
with
moment.
He was. I think he did what he could.
Mhm.
I think everyone did what they could.
My boy Theo Rossi's in it.
Oh, he
I love
really
Theo
tried.
Rossi in
He really
everything.
tried.
Theo Rossi.
Can we talk about that? Like, they set him up as though he was gonna be like this
main villain,
evil villain. Like that first scene with him, I was like, this guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And then so like I had like multiple predictions, whatever. But like I thought he was gonna be in there like chasing them and like, up to no good, doing evil things. But his next scene was just like he turned into like the comic relief of that scene, and like they set him up as this evil motherfucker, and then the next scene he's just funny. I don't know. It was so strange.
And then I was like, okay, so he is going to be the villain because they turn him into a zombie, and I was like, oh, so he's going to be chasing them the whole movie. He's in one more scene and he instantly dies.
I'll say
Very
one thing
odd.
I was really excited for in this film is something that like other zombie movies have lightly kind of touched on in the past, and that's smart zombies, right? They're no longer just like these mindless beasts. In the beginning, they established that the zombie that is being transported by the military is like this alpha zombie. He's like the first one. Whoever is bitten by him is not just a mindless zombie. They're actually intelligent, and those who get bitten by them are just mindless zombies. It's an interesting concept. The whole army of the dead thing is because this guy he's not only just like he's taking over he's taking over Vegas, and he's the leader of this zombie horde, but they do nothing with it. Like it doesn't make like he doesn't really do anything. He's just around.
What scene were we laughing when they were like growling at each other?
Yeah, I don't like the smart zombie thing. But I felt like the zombie threat in Dawn of the Dead was perfectly fine. They were like fast, they were strong, and they will fuck you up. Like I don't think this movie needed anything more. This felt the intelligent zombies felt more like I Am Legend, which is a movie that really didn't work for me anyway. And and the whole fucking like female zombie being pregnant. Are you shitting me with that? Like, I don't know. They're like, why not just make them like humans? I don't know, who are just assholes.
It's an interesting idea. Like, I don't know. This is the second Snyder zombie movie with zombie babies, which is funny enough. Like, I don't know. He's got
there was a zombie baby in Dawn of the Dead.
Is it called Army of the Dead because everyone dies? The main cast?
No, I think it's called Army of the Dead because they're fighting an army of the dead.
Should have been called Heist Team of...
It's just the normal zombies were like Night of the Living Dead zombies, which is a far cry from what the zombies were in Dawn of the Dead, and I think those are the most perfect zombies.
I hate
I feel like
zombies. I really do. I'm so sick of zombies and
I think they can. There's a lot of.
They can be good.
Yeah,
Zombie
they
movies
can be
It can
very
be
great.
Train to
There's
Busan was
great
fucking awesome.
It
zombie
can
movies.
be good. I'm just sick of it. I don't care.
Okay, I think this movie has probably the best sequence outside of the opening sequence or the montage of like the credits and everything. Is there's a part where this girl is all the characters are trying to snake through a group of hibernating zombies, and they're like slowly making their way through, and they have like a glow in the dark lights that are like guiding them through. And this one girl is like, she gets lost, or one other character like basically throws her under the bus, and she starts fighting them one by one.
That was the best sequence.
She has the best badass moment. Like each, like, you know, it's an ensemble movie. And, you know, usually in those kind of films, you get like each get these badass character moments. That was hers, and she had the best one because she's like basically killing all these zombies left and right by herself. And then it leads to like one of the dumbest moments because there's a part where they're like, "Where is she? I don't know where she is," even though she's like shooting guns.
Yeah,
And they're like in that, like, no, you really can't pinpoint where she's at. And then they're like, "Forget her, she's dead." And then she like falls through a window, and it's like, "Oh shit, there she is." I thought for sure she was gonna live because at this point she's right in front of them. She's 10 feet away. She's killing zombies left and right. She's gonna live. There's no reason why she's gonna live. And they're like,
I mean, she was getting mobbed by zombies, but everyone who was standing there watching her are armed with guns.
Yeah,
and they could have helped her out, but none of them did.
Yeah,
they're just like, "Oh, look at her," and then she just fucking died.
Yeah,
like
they do nothing to assist her, including her boyfriend. I don't know, the guy who was with her, the Hispanic guy. I don't know. Which okay, that goes into, I think, like all of the useless side characters that are in this movie. All of them terrible and annoying. There's a German guy who's meant to be the safecracker, who is the comedy relief of this.
Yeah, he was
like,
bad.
Yeah, he had his moments where I was like, all right, I'm giggling a little
I
bit.
chuckled a few times.
I don't buy the whole he's like a wimp in the beginning, but by the end he's like this badass. I was like, oh no, don't do that.
They introduced this like
there wasn't very much of an arc.
There's one character, he's like a big buff black guy who's also a
philosophicizer.
Yeah, he's a philosophicizer.
Philosophy major.
Yeah, he's a philosophy major, and he carries around a gigantic buzzsaw that he's
doesn't
supposed
use.
to kill zombies. He doesn't use it. He doesn't use it. It's like, why would you set that up? They have a moment where Theo Rossi like picks up his saw and he's like, all right, this is cool, and he grabs it away from him. He's like, hey, don't ever touch my saw. Like, don't you ever touch it. And it's like, all right, dude, I can't wait to see this guy use that. Like, he's gonna hack through zombies. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
And then he doesn't.
He literally never uses it. There's a part where he has his kind of moment where you see him like getting ready to fight some zombies, and it's like, great, and they cut to a saw and it's someone else using it.
Yeah, she was like, the only thing the saw is used for is to cut through a wall. Like, I remember seeing the saw and thinking, this is impractical, but I'm sure it's gonna work really cool in an action sequence. And it wasn't. They cut through a wall with it and let it go.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so stupid. Like, if you're gonna set something up like that, fucking do it. And Zack Snyder's the person to do it. Like, he's great with action, and he's great with making,
I would have loved to see a slow motion sequence of a guy hacking through a horde of zombies with a giant saw. Awesome.
I did like the extreme violence. Not that it was like particularly meaningful. I don't know, it was fun.
Apparently, there was supposed to be a scene where there was a naked guy running through with the giant penis and with the bite out of it, like part of that opening sequence, but he decided he didn't do it. He's like, that goes a little too far. I think that would have been hilarious, but they decided to cut that out. It's like, I think again, you set up the zombie thing and you pair it with like a heist film. What's so great about a heist film? You get to see like all the setup and the prep that goes into the heist, but the thing is, I had no idea how they were gonna break into the
heist
safe.
is like, feels like it's 5 minutes.
The heist was like, okay, we're gonna walk there and break into the safe.
Yeah,
and then that was it. Like, it really, there was no tension to it. Like, I was hoping that, like, you know, the safe cracker was gonna be there trying to like crack the safe, the German guy, and then like they were gonna be fighting off zombies, like, get the fucking safe open, and like make it tense at least. But like he was just sitting there, and he's like, hey, there was one scene of like comic relief where he's just like, you guys need to shut the fuck up, I need to do my thing, and then like 2 minutes later the safe was open, and it's like, okay, there's no tension here whatsoever.
Yeah,
like it was sold, I guess, as a heist movie, and there was very little heist in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole heist lasts like 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's a grander story going on where basically these guys are recruited by this Japanese businessman who brings them into...
He owned
to-
this casino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted that money because it's untaxable.
But that's not
untraceable.
really why he
No, that's
wants
not
it.
really. The thing that he really wants is that he just wants one of the zombies, the alpha's heads, because apparently there's much more money in having like a literal army of the dead. It's like, yeah, because that totally worked out before. But whatever. They could have had that story going on in the background. Or they could just fucking cut it out.
so
and
this-
just
yeah.
a bunch of people who just want to steal money from Vegas.
movie-
because
That would
it's
have
just
been
sitting
so
there.
much better.
It's just
So much
cleaner.
better.
Just completely
This movie
cleaner.
has a villain problem because that's part of the thing too. Is because I was like, okay, Theo Rossi is going to be like the main threat, but then
Yeah.
he's not. And then I was like, okay, this army dude that's like secretly has a secret agenda. He's going to be the main threat, and then he just dies. And it's like the businessman's going to be the main threat, and then his last scene is him just going, well, that.
He,
didn't
he
work
looks
out.
at his phone. He's like, that sucks, and
He's
like puts it down.
Oh
Like,
man, I thought this was gonna pan out. And then I was like, okay, the zombie like alphas are gonna be the villain, and I guess they are, but they don't really do anything. I don't know. There's like no plot.
Okay, so there's like an interesting, weird little side note thing that happens with this movie. Apparently, they shot this whole movie with Chris D'Elia, who was playing the pilot character, but they had to reshoot it because turns out Chris D'Elia was chasing after, young girls. So they instead CGI'd in Tig Notaro, which I think was mostly done well. Like she's integrated somewhat seamlessly, just visually. Like I wouldn't have really known.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks slightly off, but the whole movie looks slightly off. But she just really doesn't land comedically wise, I think. Like the whole time.
it's because she's not like they're acting with people.
No,
Like,
no. Yeah, it's like Chris D'Elia has a very specific kind of personality and like comedy style and like timing and everything, and they just tried to have Tig do this like Chris D'Elia impression almost, and it just doesn't work at all. I understand it's a weird circumstance, but like it I don't know, it did not help at all.
I'm sure it would have worked better if she was on set with everyone, but like
Yeah.
it just like I didn't know that until last night. I was like browsing the trivia on IMDb and trying to fall asleep, and they said that, or it said what you just said, and that makes perfect sense because like she felt just so awkward and out
Yeah.
of place. Like it genuinely felt like she wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sorry, this has reminded me of another point I wanted to bring up. Is this bad on purpose? Is this like a Planet Terror thing?
No. Planet Terror is like trying to do B-movie horror
Okay,
stuff.
because this feels like a B movie.
Yeah,
And
it really does.
And
like
the
that's an
reason,
insult to B-movies.
the reason
Yeah.
I bring this up with her is that I noticed the thing where it's like it's almost comical. She has like a cigar in her mouth the entire movie. It never leaves. It's almost like in Trailer Park Boys.
In
how
certain
Julian-
parts, yeah.
I don't know. It felt like kind of like a B movie on purpose. Like they were doing like a Planet Terror thing. But
Yeah,
failed.
there's some.
So on top of that, Miles, producer here, by the way, and I just wanted to mention how bad the CGI was in this. Like
Yeah.
there
At
were
points,
some
yeah.
really bad.
Not all
moments.
of it. Just
It looks
like
pretty
like
bad.
like the fight where Martin is fighting the zombie tiger was one of the
yeah.
worst fights ever. Like you see the tiger shaking him like 2 feet above his leg, and you
Yeah.
see him shaking around, and then you just see him like the tiger like not even like really touch him even, and then he flies all the way and hits a car, and it's like where is that coming from? Where's all that motion coming from? And
Yeah.
that was consistent throughout a lot of the stuff. Like I think Dave Bautista threw a roulette table at some point, just like a few minutes later, and
Yeah.
it just goes flying across the room, and it's like it totally snaps you
Yeah.
out of like any sense of realism whatsoever. And I mean, it's a zombie movie, so it's not realistic, but still.
When they showed the zombie tiger, I was pretty hyped up. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
badass,
yeah.
man.
I'm not a fan of the setup to that. Like that scene was just like everyone just like ooh,
Yeah,
zombie
yeah.
tiger. But yeah, it's a cool concept.
It's like, I thought it felt so dated because they're like, oh, that's Siegfried and Roy's the tiger. And I'm like, Siegfried and Roy? What is this, 2011? Like,
Right.
what the fuck? I'm like, when was the last time Siegfried and
This movie
Roy
takes
were
place
in Vegas?
2011.
Is it really?
Yeah, same year as Silver Lake.
Oh,
I'm just fucking with
Oh
you.
my
I made that
god! No, but
I was
I was
going
like,
for a period piece.
yeah, I was like, what? What a weird thing to throw in there. It could have just been, a
fucking
tiger,
tiger.
because this is Vegas and there's tigers. Like, there could have been a fucking lion. There could have been a penguin and a flamingo. Who gives a shit? It's Vegas.
Yeah, but also going back to what Miles was saying, like, yeah, that scene was pretty bad. Like, I remember I was watching it, and I think I said to you guys, what is this, The Revenant? But it was so much worse. So, like, it felt like that scene in The Revenant. Where,
Dude, this
like, he was
movie's
being attacked by the bear.
Oh, but
but The Revenant felt, like, real and
Yeah.
just disgusting and fucking, like, awful. This movie, I was just like, he should have died, like, fucking 2 minutes ago.
It's really-
It goes on and on and on.
the part where he gets picked up and shaked, it's like, it goes on. It looks so awkward because it's like the tiger is on its hind legs, like balancing on its hind legs for like 5 seconds. Like it looks doesn't make any sense. Like just physics wise, he's just like shaking the guy in his mouth and then tosses him. It's like, that was clearly not well thought out.
But the biggest problem was when he was shaking the guy half the time, the mouth wasn't even close to touching the guy.
it didn't look
Like,
like it lined up very well.
And it was really sad because in other movies of his, I have seen really good CGI and really good use of CGI.
Oh yeah.
And so to just see this in this movie, it felt awkward.
Can we talk about Batista's daughter?
Oh god, the worst character in the movie. I think she's a
Absolutely.
good actress. I want to say that right now.
Oh, yeah.
This movie's so boring, man. I don't
But
even have that much
fuck,
to say.
We're talking
was
about
her character terrible?
Ella Purnell. She's been in some other good stuff. She's, all these actors are capable of acting. But her motivation throughout the movie is that there's like a refugee camp thing outside of Vegas, and apparently someone that she knows went back into Vegas for some reason. and then
she has kids.
yeah, and it's like, what an irresponsible mom. Why the fuck are you going back in there? But she's like, all right, I have to go with you because I have to find this lady to bring her back to her kids. And then they're like, and Batista's like, all right, don't worry about it. We'll find her, right? There's a whole team of me and these other pro zombie killers. We'll find her. Like, don't worry about it. She's like, I don't trust you to find her. And it's like, why are you so mad at this guy?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so mad at your dad? Like, he killed your mom, I guess. But she's like, no.
She was a zombie mom. It's fine.
Yeah. And then they go into her actually eventually going in there, and she gets the whole team killed trying to find this lady.
Everyone dies because of her.
And then
including the person she's trying to save.
including the person she's trying to save. This lady she's trying to get saved, she ends up getting her killed, and ultimately is for nothing. For nothing. And there's also a big moment where the philosopher guy, he's going after the main alpha zombie, right? And it's like, all right, I've seen enough movies at this point. I kind of get what's gonna happen. They've at least shown up to this point that this main zombie is like bulletproof, kinda, because he goes off against a group of like
Because
of
he
like
wears a
8
mask.
He wears a magneto
Yeah.
mask.
So he gets shot. Like he apparently is just dodging all their bullets. Which, okay, fine. I'll set aside my my suspension of disbelief. Fine. He dodged all their bullets. Now he's going against the philosophizer, and then the dude just gets his ass kicked by this zombie, does like no damage to the zombie at all, and then it goes after Batista, and then they have a showdown, and Batista like wins somehow, and it's like he should have no means won at all. At the very least, just like regular storytelling would just make you think that at least the philosophizer could have done some damage to him, and then he's a little bit weakened, so then when he goes against Batista, it's at least a little more plausible when they fight and he wins, but nope.
Also, the philosophizer. They try to do a thing where he becomes buddy with the German guy, and then like they don't set it up that well. There's like 3 scenes. It's like they don't like each other. Then they're like joking around when they're doing the safe. And then when the alpha zombie kills the German guy, the philosophizer is like, no! And it's like, oh man.
Like, that was my best friend!
Yeah! It's like, I didn't realize they got that close.
For a 2.5 hour
There are no
zombie film,
characters in this movie.
Like,
Yeah.
there's very little setup to the characters.
I think-
I think those 2 actors, the German guy and the philosophizer, I think they could have had something good, right? I think their chemistry, when they were on screen together, it worked. We just didn't have the build up to it, and it ultimately I didn't care.
It's like, and again, like talking about Snyder all up to this point, like I think he's a good director. I think he's got a lot of potential there, but this just felt like so rushed. It felt so like just out of place. Like I don't even know what happened because I mean I think again he just probably just bit off more than he could chew. But like we've seen him develop characters.
I think
like,
it'd make Justice League work. He could have made.
Oh
this
yeah,
work.
like in Justice League, you see these characters like build relationships. You see like Wonder Woman and Aquaman. You see what's it called, Flash and Cyborg. Like they become buddies, and you believe it. And it's like, all right, that's cool. All it takes is just a few scenes of them just talking with each other, and it's like, hey, I could see their relationship budding. But this, no, nothing.
I have a point to bring up.
Okay.
Was this a COVID thing? There was a point where I was like, okay, so
It was shot in
There-
2020.
there was a point.
There is some of it.
There was a point where people started talking on CNN about zombies, and I was like, fuck. I was like, no!
We gotta take their temperatures.
Yeah, and I was like,
I thought that was going to be the end of it, but then they're literally taking people's
yeah,
like Theo Rossi takes
Rossi, yeah.
their temperatures later on in the movie.
Is
I'm
this
like,
a weird political thing?
I don't know.
it is.
So
it is.
apparently, at one point, the U.S. government decides to just nuke Vegas, which
It makes
Sorry,
sense.
makes sense.
Stand up
It makes
moment,
right?
one of the funniest moments. There's like the TV news report where like the president is like
They're
saying-
quoting the president.
They're
yeah.
quoting the president, and the president like he wants to nuke Vegas on the 4th of July.
He's like,
but,
it'd be pretty
some,
cool.
But some activists don't like that, and he's like, instead of backing down, they're going to do it a day before, even though, quote unquote, from the president, that would have been pretty patriotic if you really think about it.
Yeah.
That was actually
Like,
really funny.
he's like, it would have been like, we're doing it on 4th of July because it's
tremendous.
pretty cool.
It's a tremendous thing.
Yeah.
It's like I think that was supposed to be a Trump.
Yeah,
like
we're
thing.
gonna bomb Vegas. It's tremendous what we're doing here.
Yeah, which I
Believe
think
me,
would have been
nobody's
fine.
bombed Vegas more than me.
It's like I think that would have been fine. It would have made sense if it was
That's
in
fine.
the movie that they set up with the opening sequence, where it's like, all right, they're dealing with this like it's the over the top like funny kind of Zombieland-esque movie like taking place in Vegas while they're shooting zombies and shit, and
But
it's like
is this
fuck it, like
is this like
the
an
president.
Is this like an anti like stay at home movie? Like
No,
it
no,
felt weird. I don't know. I don't know what it's trying to do.
I don't think they knew what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to be like topical.
This movie was so boring.
Yeah, I think
That's its biggest fault.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
So fucking.
There
boring.
was like
Nothing happens the entire movie.
Yeah.
They're like walking around, and like I was thinking, like, oh man, that'd be cool. A bunch of Vegas casino imagery. They go into like 2 casinos the whole movie. They're like in the
Yeah.
ugly desert the whole time, and oh look, Vegas statues and Vegas buildings have fallen. Great, Zack Snyder. I understand you like looking at destroyed cities, but you could have done something a lot cooler here.
All right, let's try to wrap this up.
Let's wrap
here.
this up. I don't have that much to say. It's boring. and it
Okay,
sucks.
so is Snyder back? Did he did he redeem himself in any way?
No.
From this, no. From Snyder Cut, yes.
Snyder Cut was Zack Snyder being as Zack Snyder as he possibly
worked.
can be, and like, yeah, I mean, I didn't really get into all of my issues with the Snyder Cut, but as I said, I fucking respect it. This movie, however, I thought he was going back to his roots, and he didn't, and I'm really upset about it. I'm not upset at him. Like, he made a fun movie. He did what he could with it. He wanted to just do something outside of the DCEU, and kudos to him, but it really just didn't work for me.
No, I agree. I think he'd earned back a lot of goodwill with the Snyder Cut. I think a lot of people were willing, like, we're excited and happy to see him fulfill his vision, and I congratulate him for that, and like I respect the hell out of him for the Snyder Cut. For he did what he wanted. That's great. But with this, he just took on way more than he should have. I don't know why Larry Fong wasn't in this one. Maybe he just read the script and was like, hard pass. Like, he didn't do it, probably for the best. And I don't know. Unfortunately, this movie kind of just eats back into that goodwill. I would love to see what he could do next. I would love to see whatever he has planned to do next. I'm all for it. I'd like to see what he can do. But yeah, this did not leave the best taste
Yeah,
in my mouth when it came
really
to Snyder.
didn't land for me.
It's a lot like the end credit scene for Justice League, where I was just like, ugh, maybe we should not do that.
Okay.
I don't
So-
know. It's boring.
Yeah, I think we should like give our overall thoughts on Zack Snyder.
On Zack Snyder?
As briefly as you possibly can, because this is the episode.
Okay.
This is the
okay,
Snyder
okay.
episode. So Blake, you
I'll
want to
go
start?
first. I honestly don't like most of his movies. That being said, he has vision. He clearly is a filmmaker that does what he wants to do, and he creates movies that he wants to make. I respect it. Just a lot of the time for me, his movies don't work.
That's fair. I'd say I like Snyder. Through this journey, I've grown to appreciate him more. I'm excited to see where he can go into the future. As long as he's nowhere near the writer's room, and as long as he's not shooting or doesn't have the camera anywhere in his hands, I'm excited to see what he can do next.
I would agree with both of you. I think Zack Snyder is much, much better than the sum of his parts, right? There are very specific moments in all of his films that I love that I wish he would just expand upon. But at the end of the day, I respect him as a filmmaker. I respect him because he will do everything he can to get his vision on screen. And like, honestly, in this day and age, like, there aren't a lot of people that do that. So fucking kudos to him. I will continue to watch his movies, and hopefully one day he will make the movie that I know he can.
He's gonna blow us all away.
Yeah,
Eventually.
he absolutely, and he has the potential to do that.
Oh.
So, would you guys put these movies on your shelf?
Personally, I would stick Army of the Dead. That is the only movie that I would toss into the shit bucket.
Yeah.
Army of the Dead gets the shit
Oh, we
bucket.
didn't even talk about the shit bucket. There was a reference to a shit bucket in
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. Yeah.
We keep running into this. It's a very odd thing to run into.
Yeah, I'd stick Army of the Dead in the shit bucket for sure. That's the one movie that I just flat out didn't like at all.
What about the Snyder Cut?
I wouldn't put it on the shelf.
It's better than Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah. I give him credit where it's due. Most of the film, I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, but yeah, not shelf worthy.
I liked it a lot, and I think a lot of my friends will be very surprised at that. I went into this expecting to absolutely hate it, but it's pretty good.
I have a lot of issues with the Snyder Cut, but far and away it's better than the theatrical cut. And, you know, I could say it again. I respect it for what it is. So, will I ever watch it again? Probably not.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
probably won't buy it. But, you know, it's a good movie. It's maybe not good.
It's functional.
I sat through it.
That's the true Mulan.
I sat through it.
Yeah, which is more than I could say for Batman v Superman. So it was a step up from that.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Half a Clue. Hope you'll have a wonderful weekend. And I'm really hoping that next week we don't have to watch 8 movies.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about Zack Snyder. Let us know what you think about Army of the Dead and the Snyder Cut.
Yeah. Send us a letter in the mail.
Yeah. Snail mail all the way.
So, what movies are you going to be watching for next week?
All right. Let's just call it. Let's just call it.
Yeah.
Let's do. Let's
Let's see.
I
let's
gotta
do a
pee.
Quiet Place Part 2 and A Man Escaped.
A Man Escaped? Alright.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Quiet Place Part 2 and Man Escaped next week. Tune in.
All right. Later, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.